Tudo
Oh my God.
Well, hello, you beautiful people. It is another Darachat, of course, and because it is almost Thanksgiving, this will be the last one for the week. So this is yes, that intro again was by Pogo. It is called Yoga Special, and so it includes a bunch of things. But anyway, before we get into that, all right, we're not getting too far. All right, my name is Daramouthe, or Dara for short, because obviously people have the worst way of saying Daramouthe. They say Daramouthe for some odd reason. Unfortunately, the silent E does not work in the vocabulary of the linguistical. So there's that. But yeah. You know how many times I get that? It's like, look, just call me Dara. It's fine. Forget the other part. Just call me Dara. We're done. All right. Oh, goodness. Anyway, how are you, Hanz?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, good sir. Every time I say your name, I want to go into a German accent, but that's okay.
Hey.
It's
These names we come up with to be on the internet, right? I mean, at least I think I remember when I first met you, I think I did get your name right. So you can at least count me as one of the few that actually could pronounce it. Because I think I was raised with phonemes and phonetics, right? The hooked on phonics kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, this type of stuff is easy to read, but I think that there are some schools of thought when they teach English that just cause people to just not get it because they go case by case basis instead of trying to build it the way it was meant to be.
Yeah, well, and obviously everyone should know I before E except after C, and then
all those are weird rules.
all the the wording. Yeah, because I remember as a kid doing hooked on phonics. A, apple, B.
Hey, it worked for me.
Yeah, it worked for me too. Worked for me too. Next, kids, we're gonna learn about the alphabet. We're gonna do very slow, and C is for cat.
Yeah.
It's right, like this is not the show I thought I'd come for. Is to learn how to say.
Yeah.
Can you imagine someone gets hooked on phonics and just does that the whole show?
They're just like, I need it, and they just can't stop.
Turn it off, please, Lord. Turn it off.
Yeah, no
I know
kidding.
what W is. I know what W is. Oh goodness,
I was just gonna turn
that'd be
this up
hilarious
there.
though.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been a while since last time. I mean, you're
Oh yeah.
I
I
know
looked
you.
at our last video and it was like April or something. It was like way back when I just started on Rumble.
I never went to. I didn't go to college either, but it doesn't mean you don't know your
I dropped
ABCs.
out of
Come on.
college and they still gave me an associate's degree. I was trying to leave and they're like, here, just take this bullcrap course. Here's I'll sign off on the rest of it. Just don't
Yeah,
make our numbers go down.
yeah. And you're like, yeah, oh yeah, I'll go. Oh yeah, oh sure, yeah,
Like,
yeah. Thanks, yes.
it was a cheat code. I got out early and I didn't have to do any work.
There you go.
Still
Sometimes
didn't use that thing though.
oh well, there you go.
Yeah, I mean,
You're given
I
a
think a
piece
lot
of
of people have
paper.
that.
Yeah, you're given a piece of paper, and it's like, what do I do with this? Oh look, I made a crane. Look at
Yeah, it's a great crane. I mean, I keep it in my safe, just in case I ever have to get another job. It's like this
yeah.
is on my resume right here.
So,
Oh
sir,
man,
where's your diploma at? And you
yeah.
put down the crane in front of them. It's like, sir, what is this?
I made.
It's my diploma.
Maybe you're in a box folding factory when you put that down. I don't know. I mean, that could work out. You just never know.
You use one of their boxes to wrap it in, and you just present him the box like, here, a gift for you. It's like, you didn't have to. And then it opens like it's a crane
Oh,
there.
that would be a great resume if you actually were trying to work at a box factory where you make a convoluted, like multifactorial puzzle for them to access your resume. Like it's a box inside of a box, but you got to unlock it a certain way, and you just did all of that stuff. You did like you're hired, right? Like I would hire that guy.
You should
I mean,
it's
it
be
wouldn't
like,
even matter what's on his resume; is the
yeah,
box.
yeah,
I think that's that's the important thing. Is it's really not the resume; it's how you present yourself. I think.
yeah. No, you present it, and it'll be a show. It'll be called the interviewer's disaster because you give them the box like, what am I supposed to do with this? If you want to hire me, you got to open the box.
Yeah, it's the art of the deal. You have to be willing to walk away.
Look, sir, we're not gonna play these type of games. I've seen your resume, sir, and it is a game.
Yeah. The best
How'd
part
you
is when you
know?
got this box, you can just slam it down on their table and just walk away.
Yeah. What is it? A ticking time bomb or something? It's like they don't hear
Yeah,
anything ticking. It's like,
there's
oh
a
man.
clock in there just for time.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine someone does that and just walks away and bomb patrol's called in and then they open it's like just a regular alarm clock.
It's even like one of those smiley face clocks or something like, or a Hello Kitty clock, or it's just something a little extra.
And then inside is a note that says, "See, you wish you hired me, didn't you?"
Yep. Yep.
Oh my goodness!
Oh
See, this
man,
is the stuff we come up with.
dude.
That's the show right there. That's it.
I mean, that's all I do when I'm on stream is just make up weird stuff, and then
I
I
bet
was,
you invented a few things.
what's that?
I said, I bet you invented a few things.
I mean, I technically have. I guess I've written software. Does that count as inventing?
Well, maybe it depends on what you're writing the software for, though.
Very specific uses for things that only I want and no one else does. So I don't know if that counts. But
Well, I mean, I guess it is kind of
I call it
making
jerry
something.
rigging. So
Jerry rigging. Well, there you go.
yeah,
Or,
but most people
or
might.
yeah, or some politicians will call that gerrymandering, but it's just because
Yeah,
there's
no,
Jerry in between both. Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, no, it's been like you said, if it's been since April, it's been quite a long time since then.
oh
And of
yeah.
course, it's I I went here because I was trying to add the links and stuff, and I went to your channel and I saw you took some you took some clips from some of the streams I've had on with others.
Oh yeah, that's the only Hanz portion of
Yeah.
my stream where I when I go on other people's chats and I start antagonizing them, but in a good way. I think I
Mm,
told you about this on the last stream where I was starting that
right.
up. And the whole point was just to show people, hey, this is how fun it can be on Rumble. You can interact with these people. They're laughing. I'm laughing. Everyone's having a good time. It's not like, it's not like a big deal. But I think people don't understand how Rumble is a little bit more intimate than YouTube, for instance. It's hard because on YouTube, the people get so big so quick. You get like 50,000 followers. Someone that has 500 followers here could have easily gotten 5,000 over on YouTube pretty quick in a
I
lot of cases. And so, you get too many messages and then no one ever interacts with anyone.
Yeah, well, the thing for me is YouTube is not a fast growing thing for me because what I do is not fast growing, right? Everyone's gonna, not everyone, but a majority of people, content creators are movies, gaming, the culture war stuff, all that pop culture and whatnot. I mean, I can, on some regard, do talk on pop culture and whatnot, but I'm everywhere. I can go
Yeah.
anywhere, and I'm not confined to those niches. And let's get it right. Some people like talking about Star Wars. Some people starting to talk about Star Trek and all that stuff. And are you related to Han? No, that's the last. I know. I saw that distracted. No, it's no.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work. He's not. He's not Dutch, I believe is, or was it? I think it was Dutch. Hans Christian Andersen. I think that's Dutch. I don't know.
I don't know
But
the
yeah.
reference. I'm very uneducated, as we've already discussed.
what's like the Ron Swanson thing is like you just hand him a piece of paper that says I get to do what I want. It's like that's not how that works, Ron. It's like yes, it is. But no, it's I can see what you mean by when you say you can grow fast on YouTube, but I'm not. I mean, I'm growing, but I'm not growing like stupendously fast.
Well, you're also not taking the avenue, like you said, you're not taking the same avenue as a lot of people that would. Like there's certain things that the algorithm over there likes, right? And real conversation is not necessarily one of them. It's it's one of those things where it's like, oh, you've got boobs, okay, off to the races, right? Or
I think you're thinking of which,
or rage bait or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Like you're
Yeah.
not doing any of that stuff. So I'm not saying that like it's every single person would be more successful on YouTube or anything. And that it's just that I was my real point of that was the sheer volume of people. You just can't get to interact with people at that level. And over here, it's it's early, and maybe that'll be harder to do long term. But
Right.
some people don't realize, oh wait, you can actually talk to these people. I'm like trying to lure the lurkers out, and
Right.
then it's funny because a couple of the people that have been following me, I've actually convinced to start streaming and help them kind of get up and running. Like Captain Tor is one of them, so he's been streaming recently, and so it has worked in a way to pull people out of their because. Again, I was watching YouTube since it came out in like 2005, whatever, right?
Yeah.
I didn't decide to start streaming till now.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people like me out there, and I'm just trying to give them an avenue. It's like, hey, talk to us. We're cool. Let's talk. Let's have fun,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's all that really is.
No, and there's gonna be lurkers. There's gonna be people. I've had that before too, but I know a lot of people are, they're on that thing of some. I think it was not too long ago someone got accused of bots, and that wasn't really the case or whatever. So there's that gets thrown around, and obviously every platform has they're dealing with bots. It's just the increment of time and data and resources because.
Oh yeah, and that's a big and that's one of the many vectors that Rumble has to deal with on a daily basis, and I understand that they have a lot to work on. I'm happy that they got the emojis finally on the app, which was a big complaint for a lot of people for like a solid year.
Oh yeah.
And so I mean, it sounds like a small thing, but if you think about it, like YouTube or not YouTube, but Google and Apple's their app stores, they have a lot of hoops you got to jump through. So like if you change your software in certain ways and they think that it's going to cause a problem, because I know some people that are developers that try to develop stuff that go on those markets, and that is probably why something as simple as you think, oh, just throwing some emojis in there. It was probably some hoops they had to go through to make sure that the stores were accepting of it. Because anyone who could just code that raw and not consider anyone else's API or whatever could have done that in a weekend, right? So it's one of those things where you have to worry about, is there a way that this can get hacked? That's another aspect too. So it's good that they finally got it up and running though, because a lot of people have been asking for that for such a long time. It's almost been a running joke.
Mhm. Yeah, and of course, gifted subs. Like you've seen before, gifted subs is coming, or gifted subscriptions is
Oh,
what.
I thought they were getting those in already, but they haven't done that yet.
No, they haven't done that yet. I
Oh,
think the
okay.
the emotes got done, so that was something that people wanted. So that's done.
Yeah.
I think maybe after Thanksgiving. Well, as long as they got the repost, the emote. No, not the emotes. They got the repost, the dashboard, and then they have the gifted subs to get done by the end of the year because Chris was saying that's what they're trying to push.
I
But
mean, I would say personally, yeah, I would more likely buy someone else a subscription than buy myself one, if that makes any sense at all. I
um,
think just thinking about the way people in this community are and the way that we kind of pass the buck to each other,
mm,
um, I could see myself doing that to somebody almost just out of fun, right?
mm, yeah,
So I can see that being an actual revenue generator in a sense, because then people can do things like, they have events where, you come to this stream on this day and someone's going to get randomly picked. You can do that type of stuff too.
yeah.
And then you can give people a gifted sub.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and then
makes sense.
again, that's something that's been on other platforms as well. What's so hard about it's the coding, it's the factor of putting it into the system, right? Because everything goes from supposedly supposed to go from web to app, right? Everything gets done on test done on the app web,
Yeah.
and
And
then
then
it
you got
goes.
all the TV, the like the LG
Yep.
TVs, you got Amazon Fire, you got all these different places where Rumble has to exist simultaneously.
Yeah.
And they have to develop for each and every different API setup that they have going on. And each one is different. And then you gotta make sure they're all cross compatible. Nothing's gonna glitch out and cause severe problems. It's a pain in the butt, really.
Yeah, coding. I only did like coding at like Code Academy for like 2 weeks, and I was like, nope,
Yeah.
I'm done. But they have a much, and that's not an excuse, right? It's not an excuse to excuse them not getting stuff out there. It's just you understanding on the technical scale. Most people don't, and so they're
Yeah.
like, "I want this thing now. It's already out there. YouTube's already done it. Just copy paste." I'm like, but then
Yeah.
that means it's not Rumble anymore. It's just people will say copy from YouTube, and it's already there. Get it done, and
Well, it's
then
not like the source code is readily available, so everything that they've done to mitigate hacking is hard. It's obscured, so they have to start from scratch and basically do the research and development, making sure that people don't do packet injection or any other type of issues like that.
yeah,
And so,
and that
yeah, it's starting from scratch,
Yeah.
pretty much.
No, and yeah, that's too, and it's sort of the bot thing as well, right? I know a lot of people are upset that the bots aren't taken care of or whatnot, but then you have to realize is that they do have to start from scratch on the coding scale, right? Because
Mhm.
it's not just an easy copy paste with that. That is a security detail, right? I would think bots are a security detail in a sense, right? I think that would make sense.
Yeah,
Um, but at the end of the day, they're building their platform not only from the servers up, from the coding up too. And yeah, again, it's not an excuse. It's trying to explain a technical aspect to a lot of people who aren't technically knowledgeable. Now, I have seen in the past, like on some Twitter X posts, that people, hey, raise your head. People will be like, "Oh, I'm a dev. I've been a developer for ages. They could have done this like that and all this stuff." Like, okay,
yep,
but you're not in the know. You're on the outside like us, right? And that's what's frustrating. Yeah, it does sound frustrating, but it can be frustrating on both ends, right? Because frustrating on the outside, frustrating on the inside, because they're probably wanting to get stuff done too, but it is a business, right? And so that kind of lends itself into all the other things which we can talk about. I mean, like the Rumble Premium, and then of course Doc coming to the platform as well, and all that stuff. It's
yeah.
just
This is a weird thing for me because everyone seems to know Doctor Disrespect, and I didn't know who he was really. Like, I knew that there
neither
was a
do I.
streamer guy. I know that, like, I think I first heard about him back in the summer when there was that whole
Situation,
fiasco
yeah,
with, yeah, whatever I don't even know what you call it. There's,
controversy.
yeah,
It
some
is,
sort of controversy around. I don't even know all the details personally, so I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I know some people are upset he's coming over, and some people are really happy, and
yeah,
so
it's
I gotta go and research this stuff, I guess.
yeah. I know Twitch doesn't like. Well, yeah, but they also had a contract with them and a bunch of stuff, so there's that too. I think there's going to be a lot of that once he comes on.
Hey,
I
Blip.
think I think there's still going to be a lot of that just going forward because again, the controversy aspect, and then what the possibility of not only his knowledge but the crowd he can bring. Because basically, he's been neither have I
Yeah.
distracted. I know very little
I
about him,
literally
but
just watched that first video they uploaded a couple days ago. That was the first time I ever really saw anything of his.
but um, but yeah, the controversy is gonna follow him for however long. And again, he wasn't. I believe the story was is that he wasn't monetized on YouTube, which he that's where he moved to after the whole Twitch thing,
Mm.
and for him to come to a place where he's not being banned because of I guess they've not got shot at before. I don't know. Oh wow, that's not good. He's got house got shot at before. I don't know. Wow, that's crazy. Um,
That is crazy.
but as far as I know, nothing's been taken to court. He's not been legally whatever. But I know people have already made up their minds, so that's going to be the way it is. My thing is, it's a complicated, chaotic mess, and unfortunately, that's the way it's going to be for a while because there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be excited for it because of the opportunity it brings.
Yeah.
Because what gaming on Rumble, has been an issue for quite some time. Well, the politics, right? Being known for just politics has been an issue for quite some time. And for me, my issue is that I don't want gaming on Rumble to become the political monolith because you had the political monolith and that was what it was, and people that's what they knew it for. And then you're bringing gaming in up, and it's great, but I don't want politics or gaming to be known as another monolith because you want the whole ship to rise, not just these two, just not one
Yeah.
section after it. Because it's great to raise it's great to raise pillars that will help be a great foundation, but I mean that's more of the tech side rather than that. And
And I would prefer to see more videos like yours where it's more of a conversational. I guess what categories do you usually use? Is it like just chatting or
what I do is use just chatting, and then I use entertainment.
okay?
Because I guess it is a form of when we laugh and stuff. It is a form of
It's
entertainment.
it's a general, it's a good general term for a lot of things, so that makes
So
sense.
yeah, no, and I thank you for that blip blap. Thank you. Um, but yeah, it's get down. There we go. But it's just one of those things where um I can get both sides of the equation. There are a lot of people that are still what's the term? There are a lot of people still disenfranchised by Rumble because of certain previous actions. Like the one is the previous content creator program. Another is the whole chat censor thing. There's a lot of different things people
Yeah.
pick on to just not, and it's understandable, right? But there's a point in time where you keep seeing them do this thing over going. It's like Rumble bad, Rumble bad, Rumble bad. They should just go and die. My thing would be is like you're already on these other platforms where they're much better than where you prefer at, and you're willing to spend any of your time to complain about Rumble. And I get for like the chat censorship and stuff, but at a time you've got to be willing to let it go
Yeah.
because there's a point where anger and what's another word? Anger, maybe not envy, but some form of wrath or something like that. It's got to end. I mean, there's got to be peace within yourself to just go on, right? Like we all know what anger is good for a short period of time, but it's not always good all the time.
I would
And
argue that anger is never really good, even in a short period of time, because a lot of times, like in a fight, for instance, the
yeah,
people that usually end up winning are the ones that stay calm.
mhm,
And typically, I mean, if you ever seen people fight out of anger with someone who's
right,
remaining calm, I actually am not sure about that, but I get what you're saying. Everyone knows that, like, maybe in a time of distress, you could lift a car up off of a baby or something like that, and you can use that energy.
yeah,
Things like that happen with adrenaline.
yeah.
But I understand. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's the honing of that energy, so it's not a controlling.
Yeah,
It's sort of like alcohol, right? There are a lot of people who drink alcohol for whatever reason they choose, and some people can't handle the word moderation, and they say moderation. You see these.
that's me.
Well, now we're gonna sit down and do a triple eight now. But
Well,
you
I'm a carbaholic, so it's a little different.
all right, all right. Well, just don't go crazy. And
Don't drink the carbahol.
yeah, I think the old song goes, "Give a man a fish and then deep freeze it and put it in a tube sock." I would have gone with quarters. That would have been easier. I'd skip the freezer and the fish. I just beat somebody with
I
a
mean, the
sack of
fish is
quarters.
the fish he got out of the river, so it didn't cost him anything. The quarters you could use at the arcade.
True, but that's after you beat somebody up with it. Then you can get rid of the evidence.
I mean, you could eat the fish. Evidence gone.
That's true. But this time on How to Get Away with Murder.
Damn it, I'm on another list.
Now you could beat somebody
We
with a
found
bunch
Hanz. He was talking about beating a man with a fish.
beat a man with a bunch of unsharpened pencils. That's how you do it. No, I don't condone the violence. But no, it's sort of like I mean, again, you're free to do what you will, but a lot of people forget the word moderation, and this goes for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Alcohol being just sort of the example, right? Because it's a weird thing, right? You have people who drink alcohol, and yet you have something like AA, right? Alcoholics Anonymous, for those who don't know. And it's sort of, well, if drinking is good, then why do you have these people who can't handle it and have to have these meetings in order to better themselves, right? Yeah, that wouldn't make sense. Because for me, that's sort of like that's like saying, well, it's good for you, and then you see this other side, and it's like, well, maybe it's not that good for you. It's just trying to contemplate the both ends of things, right? For whatever someone drinks. But again, it's about that moderation factor, and some people just
some people just can't moderate. It's like you can apply that to almost anything, right? Like
Yeah.
I like to use this for things like swearing, right? Like swearing is okay if you have it under control, right? Like you don't swear at work, right? You're gonna get fired. So if you can control that, your life will be fine. But if you're someone where you're just blurting out F-bomb this and S-word that and whatever, all day, every day, you're gonna have a hard time in life, and it's gonna be one of those things where, like, yes, you need to moderate that.
Yeah, well, then they'll say, well, that's my right and freedom of speech. And
oh yeah, they say freedom of speech when they're spamming it in the chat, and I'm like, that's not freedom of speech. That's just spamming the chat. That's just being I usually call it bot behavior. If you act like bot, you get bot treatment, and that's all I say. Like you act like a human being, and you swear once in a while. I don't care.
Right. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care the way. It's just the big gamer words is all I say. But even then, I've had a few people drop some stuff, but that's far and few in between.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very weird thing when people say the word moderation, and then it just flies out of their head like a butterfly, and you're like, okay, now what? And then you get the complaining.
It's just a little fentanyl.
It's always a little thing until it isn't.
Yeah.
That's the issue, right? It's always a little thing until it isn't. It's sort of then again that can be applied to almost anything in life. Yeah. oh, that rattling in the back of the car. That's just the muffler has a hole in it, and later on your muffler just falls right off.
Yeah, things kind of snowball. What they call it, the
snowball effect.
Yeah. So that I actually dated a girl once who when she moved from apartment to apartment, the lock on her trunk broke with the stuff that she was moving into the new apartment with. And so she actually went like 6 months without ever fixing the problem. She ended up buying a new vacuum and a bunch of other new stuff rather than fixing the trunk. And I helped her unlock it. I said, you can go in through the inside, through the seat.
Yeah.
And then we just unlatch it manually and we get your stuff out of there. And it was the strangest thing because, she was like letting that sit in the back of her mind for 6 months.
Yeah.
It was in there, in her head that was something she needed to resolve, but something psychological was just stopping her. And when we popped open that trunk, she actually broke down and cried.
Wait, because everything was gone?
Because it was resolved. No, the things were there. The things were there, but she was like relieved. And it was kind of an interesting thing. I've seen so many things like that in my life where I go, this is really curious. This is like, how do you just not get someone to help you fix this? You just buy new things, and then you still worry about it. Like, it's one thing to buy the new things and just forget about it, but then you break down, like there was some sort of psychological link to them not fixing something in their life, very mundane, right? Something small, right? Something that they could have prevented. Or they could have prevented all the cost of buying all the new things that they replaced.
I mean, you could say that blip blop, but I mean, it's just a matter of time of seeing how that will play out. That's the same thing with I know a lot of people say, well, getting Doc on isn't going to help with anything.
Yeah. I'm seeing a bunch of new people popping into a lot of streams, and the people that I stream with, they're telling me they're picking up. I've seen their follower counts go up. they just suddenly jumped up 10, 20 followers all of a sudden.
Yeah, the you have the gaming on Rumble thing where it's gonna repost if you're gaming, which I don't, so I'm not gonna get that,
Yeah.
obviously. But I think it's just the wait and see. I kind of get both. Again, I kind of get both ends. Like you can't just because you'll be able to you'll go back and say, oh well, what about Mizkif? What about Sneeko? What about all these people? It's like, well, yeah, but the deal is different now. And yeah, you
Yeah.
could say, well, even if the deal is different, he could still leave. It's like true, but now he has an incentive to make this platform grow, or he doesn't make anything. And right now, he doesn't have very many options for doing what he does, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't have. I don't believe he has his company anymore. He can't get monetized in YouTube. Twitch is just throwing him out the window because of all that stuff. Good lord.
Right.
And you could say he could go, oh well, he can go to this site or that site, but they're not going to give him the money he needs.
Yeah, he could go to like BitChute or Cozy, like those.
BitChute, Cozy, Odyssey, and then the new thing, that party that's just started.
Maybe
out.
Locals. I don't know.
Well, Locals is going to get integrated with Rumble, so sooner or
Oh,
later,
is it?
Yeah, it's going to be one
okay.
and the same. So that's going to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's only so many limited options, and he's not going to make much of amount on anything on, say, Odyssey or BitChute. Yeah, I know.
That's where I get all my conspiracy theory stuff is BitChute. Whenever something weird's going on in the news, I like to go to BitChute and have like a like just go down the rabbit hole. It's so dark and disturbing sometimes, but it's fun.
Yeah, no.
It's like watching scary movies, but in real life. It's kind of interesting.
Well, are you talking scary movie, the fun one, or scary movie, the scary one?
It's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like both a little bit because it's hilarious in how ridiculous it is, but it's also like part of real life. Like some of it comes out to be true, and I've seen that happen over the last several years where things I was looking into that I thought were just a joke turned out to be true. So it's kind of a little of both.
Yeah, thank Alex Jones for that one. The frogs are gay. But
I mean, he's got the receipts. Like, what can you do?
Well, the way he said it was simplified, but the actual point is it's a drug or some sort of thing where it was being.
Well, atrazine was the chemical, yeah. And there's actually a whole host of chemicals that are in our drinking water that also have the same effect. They're phytoestrogens and xenoestrogens. So the phytoestrogens generally come from plant material and a lot of the foods that have been crossbred and genetically modified. And then you also have the xenoestrogens, which come from a lot of plastics, which end up not getting filtered out by the local water system typically. So if you go and take a bath, people don't understand this, but estrogenic compounds can actually absorb through your skin because you can get a testosterone patch or an estrogen patch, right? So you take a bath, for instance, or a shower, and this water is getting on your skin, you're actually absorbing more estrogen, which is why a lot of women are seeing spikes in PCOS. And you got men having issues with their prostate, or they're having some other type of issues, like low testosterone, for instance.
I was waiting for you to do an Alex Jones impression because that was turning
the freaking frogs gay. And, I mean, they're turning. I guess technically, with my explanation there, they're turning everyone gay. I don't know what to say. True. I mean, you got estrogenics in the water. What are you going to do?
Well, I mean, it's from BitChute, but and that's understandable. But I mean, at the end of the day, why that's another thing too. I see is some people not saying they're getting enough or getting the notice, whatever. But I'm like, why are you doing this thing?
Because BitChute hasn't developed like Rumble has. They did not really change much. I know they changed their interface not too long ago, but I've looked at BitChute a lot, and they haven't upgraded anything really. And I look at BitChute as like that's the place to go to find the clip that got deleted somewhere else.
Yeah,
like someone told me, oh, someone slapped somebody or whatever, and you can't find it on YouTube. Oh, go to BitChute, you'll find it.
I hope I hope they leave coffee alone. Well, I'm pretty sure they've done stuff with the coffee too. Typo.
Freaking coffee gay.
Drink this bean espresso that's full with. Oh, we can't say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's. Someone told me it's FBI honeypot. Uh oh.
I mean, everything's an FBI honeypot. I mean, the NSA has this screen scrape and everything, so we're already all on a list just by being here.
Yeah.
So
we're all on a list that's not going to take us to Cedar Point. That's for sure.
So I heard you got that round table going. I thought I saw that. It looked like it was pretty successful.
Yeah, I mean, it went well. I don't think it got any much attention, but I mean,
view count was like double the average. I think I saw when I looked on it.
Well, Rumble Studio messed up and it wasn't getting from the YouTube side because I'm not gonna do like Lumpy does where it's just posting on the Rumble side. I want
Mhm.
people to on other another platform to see,
Oh,
hey,
okay.
look, there are people who have issues and they're talking about it, and wanting to try to do something about it because they care about the platform and stuff.
I bet you
Um,
though, if YouTube is not being nice to the videos, it's probably because you're saying the word rumble a bunch of times.
well, it's Rumble squared, so there's that. But I mean,
Yeah,
it was like there was. What was the count? Hold on, I gotta look at the one for
I would not
Rumble.
be shocked though if they're like, oh, they said rumble more than 3 times in this video. We're gonna just down that,
I
just
had
bring
a
it back.
I had a video, I had a short put up talking about like the fragility of our food chain.
Hmm.
Not even the view of that I gave it would show up.
Well, that's because you're
So,
talking about important things and it's not clickbait.
let's see. I think the total views stand right now for the Rumble Squared on YouTube is 53.
Yeah, didn't you get like 400 or something on Rumble?
Oh no, did I? I don't remember.
I
No,
just went. I went and looked at it before the show because I was like, I wanted to check up on what you've been up to, and I saw the roundtable thing. So is that going to be purely just talking about Rumble, or is that like more of a
it
round square about a lot of different things?
for now it will be. For now,
Okay.
roundtables are good. Well, that's why I'm only doing it once a month. I'm not gonna do like every weekend. Like every weekend. That wouldn't make sense.
I like that.
Hey,
It's,
Adam.
it's a very subtle joke.
Um, but yeah, it's just one of those things where um it's just gonna be once a month, and it's gonna be people who either haven't aren't creators or aren't creators, because I think a lot of different perspectives need to be heard. And of course I did post it onto Twitter X. I might have to next time send it to support and say, hey, here's the Rumble Squared I did, here's the data I collected, you guys do with what you will, and I'll go from there. But I will post it on X because I want there to be a transparency of this is what I gave him, exact copy.
Hmm.
You guys take it what you will and figure out how you'd want to get their attention, because I right now their focus is on getting the three other things done: the subs, the reposts, the dashboard.
Oh, I heard
Because
about is the repost thing what I think it is. So like, if I'm on your stream right now, I can just hit a button that'll put a link to your stream onto my list so that my viewers will come to you. Is that what that whole thing is about, or is that something else? Because I saw someone post something like that not too long ago.
yeah, it's what is it? It's supposed to be you can do like a little message with your video, and it will show either in your in my channel thing, like a tab, or it will show in your sort of thing. I don't know exactly how it'll work. I just know it's like a repost, right?
Oh.
Like sort of like the
If it
repost on Twitter X sort of
Yeah,
thing.
if it works the way that I think it's going to work, it's going to be great because videos like this exact thing where I have, like whatever 130 followers or something, I hit the button at the bottom of your video while we're on,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden they're notified and they can come over and watch.
Yeah, because
And I
it'll
don't I don't
be
have to post like a separate video and or go on Discord and tell people. It's
yeah
just it's live. Come here now. And they as if it was one of my own videos. And that
yeah.
would draw more revenue to people that are collaborating.
How Ryan's gonna well, I mean, he's gonna do what he wants. I'm not gonna tell him what to do. But the Rumble Squared is something that I came up with because again, Rumble does not have its own data set out there. It doesn't. I mean, I don't know what data they're collecting. I don't know how they're collecting it. They're not putting something out there to show their users like, okay, so this is what the majority of our users on the platform want, right? Like they want gifted subs. 60% want gifted subs, 30% want other, that sort of thing. There's not a physical data. And
Mhm.
of course mine wasn't. It's not like a graph chart, but it is sort of like, okay, so these are the wants, these are the wish list wants, these are the issues that they have. I could do more detail if I need to, but at the end of the day, um, people need a physicality of what the issues are, what the wish list is, but that's gonna require a lot of people for that data point. Otherwise, I can't.
Yeah, because
It's very small.
enough anecdotes becomes data eventually. And so if you can collect enough data, you get enough people on. And
Mhm.
it's actually a great idea that what you're doing, because if I didn't watch the last one and I start complaining about the same thing that they were complaining about, you just put +1, +1. Every time someone complains about it, it's not just people dogpiling on one issue, it's people separately on their own coming together and saying, oh yeah, that's the same issue I'm having,
Mhm.
you know? like, I don't know if anyone's mentioned it, but the one thing I thought was really odd when I started was why they don't have the bitrate settings right on the page that you're streaming from. Instead, they have it like on a FAQ site off of Rumble somewhere that you have to search for with Google.
Yeah, and that's the
And that's a
issue,
simple
right?
fix. I mean, even with what we've talked about with programming, that should be like 2 hours max for someone to just put that information in the go lives section of Rumble. They shouldn't have to go look for that.
Yeah, I mean, again, Rumble should have its own. I know, point could be made that, well, people would abuse it and stuff, and that's rightly true because I know some people would. But they need a data collection point on their website. It can't just be on X because they're giving X their traffic, right? X
Yep.
is still a competitor. It's similar. Yeah, no, it's like around 160 different people is what works. I think between both locals and Rumble. I could be wrong though. Kind of feel like say kids say to fake and life sucks. Well, life does suck. Life's not fair. Guess what? You'll grow up and out of it. Um, but the point of the matter is that I'm doing it because I just don't see any physical data given by Rumble other than the quarterly, but that's not helpful, especially if people want to know, okay, so these people are having the issue. So the last count I had was around 40 total. Was from both ends total. And I put that out there and said, okay, this is the time, this is the people I had on, all the stuff. These are the issues that we had come up, and some extra bits as well. I've used, Mr. R on Twitter X has helped me a bit, and of course, I use kind of AI to help kind of with the rest, just trying to get the information consolidated. But I think what I'll have to do is for one half of it, I'll have to give a more detailed thing to support because the other one didn't have much detail. I don't know if you saw it yet. And then what is it? Then the other one will just be simple enough that people can look at it and say, oh, okay, so they want this. Like the other one was people are having issues with streaming, like it freezes or it stops or whatever. And they're just kind of like, that's to be cleared up.
Those are dicier issues that are going to be hard to like. I think the best thing for them to focus on is the things that are easiest to fix the quickest.
Yeah.
That's my personal thing.
Mhm.
Are you thinking about doing like some polls on Twitter then, or anything like that, where you could actually list the ones that you think are going to be the most relevant to most people, and then just have a poll on Twitter to actually collect more numbers and actually put some sort of metric to it?
I mean, the only metric I have now is just putting out the list I did with what was the thing, and then of course in the list it'll say this is the majority thing was wanted. This was what was praised more. Like I think the first one was studio, just from the people that were in and what I've heard. Studio needs more work. We praised the community pretty well, and then and wish list stuff like this, and sort of stuff. But again, it's going to require more people, more data because I don't, I try to capture it live because I think that's how it's going to go. But
Well, you got all the details, and you can reference the link to the video. Like, you want to know more developers? Go to the video. Here's,
well, I could just
dig it out.
I could just send them the thing itself. I mean,
Yeah.
Because I'll bring it up. I just got to find it. Well, no. Oh, sorry. I don't have to go to that. No, not at all. I just have to bring up 1 second. I just have to bring up. Oh, don't give me that. Oh, it's not gonna show. Sorry, hold on. Polls. Yeah, I know, but I use there's a poll thing I found online where you can just direct people to, and I kind of want a because Rumble doesn't have the poll thing yet. Just direct them to like this website I found where you can create a poll and stuff, and then just give a link, and then people could do their thing from there, and all that stuff. But I've got to find.
Yeah, and that's one of those other things too. Is if Rumble had a DM system, just a basic DM system, I think things would be a lot nicer, because a lot of people have trouble contacting each other or collaborating without going through a third party, and it's like one of those things where that feature, again, would, like you said, keep everyone in circulation in Rumble, because you're every time you point someone away from Rumble, that's a chance for them to, oh, look, X has videos now, and then they're just watching a bunch of X videos, and it's like, you got
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be a little comprehensive about your communications. Like, there's really no way for me to contact you to collaborate in Rumble,
Mm,
other than the live chat. But then I have to catch you on a live, and then
mm.
I'm gonna start arranging things in a public chat while you're discussing something with another person. That's just not feasible.
Yeah, yeah, and again, it's them giving Twitter X, their competitor, which I mean, it is, um, their traffic for stuff. Okay, but here's the data we came up with. Um, so I did a with Claude's help, I got a system of like FIPS, right? Features
Yeah,
wanted, issues noted, positives seen, and then suggestions made. So of course, I had a bunch of people on, which are here, right here. These are my guests.
yeah.
Um, and of course, you see here multi-platform, Rumble, YouTube, Stream Studio, and then so the things where the features wanted were community tab integration, which that's been said a bunch of times. I wonder if I can magnify. Can I
Zoom and enhance.
enhance? Is that good enough right there? You
Yeah, that's
think?
good.
Okay. So first they wanted community tab integration, which has been said by them by a few times. Um, hold on.
Don't die. Don't die.
Swallowing my own spit went the wrong hole. Then you
Did not
have
want to hear that.
went down the wrong pipe. Sorry.
It's a little better.
Oh goodness. Well, it doesn't sound much better after that. Um, but this was the thing. So from that, with stuff I've also been trying to collect from, say, when Rumble Video, Twitter X makes some update points or whatever, I try to take whatever people have like a bad thing about. I try to
Mhm.
go to them and say, okay, but I like X. Yeah, well, I think a lot of people like X. I know a lot of people were doing like the whole blue sky thing, but that's a whole different story altogether. But anyway, going back to this, so community tab integration, of course, that's going to be part of the locals thing, right? Because locals is
Mhm.
going to integrate with Rumble. Enhanced creator tools studio features, which is Rumble Studio, because I know the dashboard is probably going to take care of that. And studio features, there's a lot of different things, but I could have. This was more of just trying to get this as reading comprehensible for other people. Clip creation system. So this is more away from studio.
Yeah.
So this would be on the website, Rumble website itself, on just not on just Rumble Studio. Better mobile experience. Some people have issues with the app. Some say the
Yeah.
streams are freezing. Some say it's stopping, or they have issues with PIP or whatever it is. Game subcategories expansion. So I'm guessing that was sort of the like you have a folder and then you have a subfolder in that. I'm thinking it's more of that. You're trying everything under the gaming, and then you just get all those games underneath it.
Mhm.
Um, Content filtering options, which they don't have a filtering option right now, at least.
Yeah, I was discussing that with someone. Was On my main page, I would like to be able to blacklist certain creators so I don't have to see just certain things you just don't want to watch. Okay, maybe even like certain areas, like maybe I don't want to watch racing, right? Nothing against racing, I just not my thing, right? Like, can on my
Yeah,
own personal feed, not like universally or anything, just on your own personal feed, go, let me not see racing. I
that
know that's antithesis to business models mostly, because now they're not getting the views you're not getting the chance of views that you
right.
normally would. But for the end user, especially, maybe make it a premium thing. That's great.
Yeah.
That you can do that. You can cultivate your own list so you can look at things a little bit better.
Yeah, the for you thing is where I think that would be implemented, because that's something that's curated by you over who you watch and stuff. But
Yeah.
having the ability to say, "Don't show me this again,"
Yeah, like
on
I don't want to see Sneeko, so I'm just gonna turn that off. Can I?
yeah,
It's just like I just save that spot for something new, different that I want.
yeah.
I want to see something fresh, right?
Yeah. And so yeah, that'd be nice to have, because otherwise you just like, for you, I can't get rid of this person, whatever. But I understand from your point of, on a business matter, the people don't get viewed. But again, that's what the recommendation engine is for the individual.
Right.
Personalization engine.
Yeah,
It
like Amazon does it. Like I go into Amazon, they're showing me all the things that I've been interested in. They don't show me like cookie
with
cutters and sewing kits and stuff. They show me like microphones and weightlifting and like creatine powder and stuff. So
and I
like that's what you want to do. You want them to engage. If you keep showing them stuff they don't want, then they're not going to engage, and they're going to look at this page and go, "Oh, there's like 15 pages of Slapfest in front of me,
yeah.
and I'm
Well,
just
and I
trying to." I'm trying to look
Oh,
for
go
some
ahead.
games,
Yeah, and I think that's why they're pushing Rumble Premium hard, is because that may be a way of, and it's cheaper than YouTube, but
Yeah.
it may be a way of getting past that notion of relying on the ads and stuff, because I think with their issuance of trying to get people over, advertiser wise, it's kind of hard because not many like free speech in that essence, like Coca-Cola or whatever.
Mhm.
But anyway, going back to this, so issues noted. Notification system needs work. That's for the email. Like you get emails of the person.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
I don't know why you can't just get. Can I get notifications on the app only
Yeah.
and not get an email? Like, who wants to receive 1,500 emails a day? I don't know a single person that would.
Hey, B-roll. Hey, come on, man. I just lowered my chair. Okay. Gosh.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir. I
he's sitting
appreciate
lower
that.
than me, and I'm known for sitting low.
Yeah. Well, you sit low for reasons. But anyway, thank you, sir. Well, I gotta write his
Because I'm too
down.
tall.
Yeah. We all know what kind of person you are. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a
B-roll.
I'm a I'm a Nephilim.
B-roll.
Got a big head and really
H.
tall. That's what the Nephilim's key
But you
hallmarks
don't
are.
have the red hair though.
No, but that was bred out of me, and it's been a few thousand years. Sorry.
Wait, you eat bread?
Yeah. I already told you about my addiction, man. You can't be bringing that up right now.
when bread brings you down, just
Yep.
have another slice. Um, but yeah, no, the certainly the email thing where it's like if somebody goes live, it will tell you it's live. They say download the app, but you don't have to download the app for YouTube to do that. So it
Hmm.
kind of needs to get up there. But thank you, good sir. I appreciate it. I appreciate your kindness. I don't remember using email. Well, you know what? You're not everyone, and there are many people who still use email. I still use email. Just keep you in posted. Just keep in you in post-its, baby. Thanks for the. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And looks like Tim Pool, sorta. Hey, no. Oh, he's talking about you because you kind
Anyone
of
with a
do look.
beanie is automatically Tim Pool, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's he's not bald underneath there though.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Actually,
Um,
this beanie has a lot of sentimentality for me, so that's why I keep it. So,
that's good.
but that's just that's another story for another day, I guess.
Well, we'll go for that.
Hmm.
The next one was TV app. TV app requires updates, or TV apps require updates. Like some of them are still from 2023, and it's almost the end of 2024. So if you don't do them monthly, at least update them yearly, like annually, because I know there's a lot of work that has to go into it, but some of them
Hmm.
are not getting updated this year, right?
Oh,
The next one was studio connectivity concerns. So the camera stuff, like it still has camera issues where people try to pick their camera, and at times it won't. They'll choose their camera, but it won't show up as the chosen camera at times. So there's that. And sometimes it will go wacky. Like on yesterday, I had to send to support that my uh, YouTube chat would get connected and disconnected for some odd reason. I'm just like, oh great.
yeah.
Oh
I
well.
think that happened to me. Actually, it was like it picked the wrong video device when I was going on a Cool Frog stream.
Yeah, and that's where the issue's at, as well as just the camera thing.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, Rumble Studio is sort of what sets Rumble apart, because there's no other platform I know of that has their own streaming thing. It's to third party, right?
Yeah.
Restream, StreamYard,
StreamYard.
all this other stuff. And yeah, you could find ones out there for free, but it won't be integrated into the platform. And
Hmm.
that's the issues, right? And it's free here for Rumble too.
I don't know if
But
you have this on your list, but the Rumble Studio also modifies your system microphone audio for any guest that goes on there.
yeah, the
And yeah,
the what is it, the suppression or something like that?
well, not the suppression, the actual volume level. So I have had a bunch of friends who would go on to a Rumble Studio group chat,
Mm,
and then they'd go and stream the next day, and their audio is all out of whack, and they have to
mm,
spend like an hour trying to figure out what the problem is. And it turns out their microphone audio got changed on them. The
yeah,
only reason why I know about it is because as soon as I logged in, I went from 88% to 62% when I logged in just now on your chat, and so I
yeah.
have it on my Stream Deck where I
Mm.
can just fix that instantly. But some people don't know that, and so they end up like spending like half an hour trying to diagnose it.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. Rumble, yeah, and as B Rose said, Rumble needs work, but it treats creators like human beings. Well, some would disagree with you. I know there are other creators that have used the platform that would disagree with you, but it is what it is. And then ad delivery refinement needed. I know a lot of people have come and said you have too many ads in a row and all that stuff, and like that's understandable,
Like
but
5 minutes of ads for a 2-minute video or whatever it is, and
yeah, and I know why people leave the ads on is because they want to support, but I'm like,
mhm,
if you want to get rid of that, I mean, you can either use the ad blocker or pay for the premium. A lot of people are like, I don't want to do any of this BS. I just want to, like, yes, but you kind of, you want to get around it and the complaint goes away, those 2 options are available. You have options, right? You don't
yeah.
have to complain about the ad thing. You can say, "There are options here. Choose which one you want." And they're like, "No, no, 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 no. I wanna keep complaining." It's like, "Really? You could have solved it's that easy."
Yeah. One of the
Um
things that's really valid though about the ads is that if I'm searching, like say I'm watching one of my own videos,
mm,
and this is before I actually bought premium because they've added so much since the premium was invented, right? Or came up.
yeah,
But when I was like, I'd be like fishing my own videos for a section I was looking for.
mm,
And every time I clicked on a different section, it would start up with a new ad immediately.
mhm,
And so every time I was searching through the video to get to a part that I wanted to be at, it was just pause,
yeah,
ads, ads, ads. And then you got to look, oh, that's the wrong spot, pause, ad. So it makes it almost impossible for someone to pick out clips
mm,
because, we don't have a clip generator yet,
yeah.
you know? So it's hard to pick out clips when, you're getting dropped ads every time you try to check something.
Yeah, and that's where I don't know if they do it, but to have the creator be able to place the ads where they want,
Yeah.
and of course, it's up to the creator to be able to fulfill those ads to be seen. So there's not like a way of getting around that, but a better way of delivering the ad stuff. Now, the mobile app limitations, I think, was because again, some people are still, getting like freezing of stream or it drains your battery quicker or stuff like that. And of course, it goes with this one, right? Bandwidth, streaming, and stability. Yeah. So
Yeah.
these kind of go together right here. The mobile app thing and that because it's just one and the same.
Yeah.
And they have those issues. What's this icon on my name? I know I'm a caveman, but Ahmad, uh, are you talking
That's
about
probably the
on?
Rumble icon, right? The green one.
Uh, are you talking about the whale? Are you talking about the whale icon? If it's the whale icon, it means you've given a rant. So
Yeah.
the whale icon goes from gray to yellow to blue.
Hmm.
And so what that means is if you donate over $100, you get a yellow whale. If you donate over $1,000 over a period of time, right? It's not like all at once. It's over a period of time. If you donate over $1,000 over a period of time, you get the blue one.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
just have to donate 98 more dollars to Daramouthe and you will get a yellow whale. Just
You're all
saying.
right. Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, that's just the explanation. And yeah, I didn't know you didn't have to be over here on the Rumble side, but yeah, thank you for that. And of course, that's it for issues right now. Again, the more people I get to have within the chat and stuff, because there's a period of time where it's just us on the screen, right? It's just us, the people that the guests on there, like vaping and all that stuff. They were on. We go do our thing first, and then towards the end, we'll have chat say, "Okay, what are your issues? What are the things you were experiencing, or what are your wish lists?" So
Yeah.
that people that
That's
that
smart.
yeah, that way it separates those things because chat will always try to intervene. It's like, look, guys, just save it. Save it till the end. Write it down,
Yeah.
whatever you have to do, and then once it comes time, name your thing, and we'll go from there.
No,
And
that's a great
that's
idea. I was like, I didn't even think that maybe that's what you should do is just have a whole section where you're like, okay, now it's the chat's turn,
yeah. Now it's the
and
chat's
start collecting that data.
plus it helps when you have other people in the thing to get that $94. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hey, look at that champ right there donating $94. Your dream come true there. Um, and then the one is positives, all right? Because we don't want to just be all namby pamby. Because there are positive rumbles. So one is the welcoming environment, which we've been seeing over these past few days with the whole doc disrespect thing and all that stuff. There's been a lot of gaming on Rumble. You've seen a lot of new people come in, a lot of people start streaming on Rumble, all that stuff.
Hmm.
So that's been happening. The
So
strong
you're gonna get
monetization.
there's not just positive things that can come from that because you're gonna end up getting more bots. You're gonna get people that are like, oh, there's a revenue stream over here to like sell crap to people or whatever. And so you're gonna start having this other leech like activity that'll come with the popularity. And that's another issue for Rumble to have to handle because it's gonna be the onus is gonna be on them to try to sort that out. So
Yeah, and
it's not all flowers and rainbows, you know.
bots will be a thing until Kingdom Come. Here, guys, every platform experiences bots, but
Yeah.
because of the resources and time they have, like there's Amazon, that's Twitch, and then YouTube, which is Google, basically. They have the engineers, they have the technology, they have the money in order to be able to hide it. You don't see it because they hide it better.
Yeah.
Rumble can't because it has maybe 1/4 of both those ends resource wise.
It's like cough syrup. It doesn't actually cure you. It just it suppresses the symptoms.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
yeah. And well, we stream Rumble, we don't browser chat. Well, you know what? I'm glad you're over here. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much, good sir. And where were we at? Yeah, so the strong monetization, I don't know if again, Claude was helping with this, so I don't know if I call it strong monetization, but monetization, day one monetization is pretty interesting. And I know some people have said there are others out there, but I don't remember what their names are. Great growth potential, which is sort of true. A lot of people see growth. A lot of people don't.
Is this what they
Um,
call a turd sandwich? So you got to like put some good, then some bad, and then some more good kind of
yeah,
thing when you're feeding the information to the
there's
developers.
There's good and bad on every platform. It's just, that's what it is. Supportive staff. Now, again, this is kind of leery because I hear a lot of people have great. I haven't had issues with the staff, but I know few people have had issues and all that stuff. The next one, of course, is freedom of expression, which is great.
Yeah.
But again, there's the complaint of the chat censorship, which I understand, but they're also confined to Google and Apple, which they did give an idea of separating the web from the app and sort of app would be constricted, but the web wouldn't. But we'll see how long if that ever happens at all.
Yeah.
Rumble and generic? No, I'm not saying Rumble as generic. It's Rumble as in Rumble the platform.
Hmm.
So, and then good content discovery. I mean that's very dependent on how well they keep up with their recommendation personalization engine. But I mean, there is
It sounds like what that means is finding new talent to bring in. Is that what that's supposed to mean?
possibly, I have the original list, but I'm just giving this
Yeah.
one because it's easy to pull up. Suggestions. Suggestions made during this. So this is from the people. This is stuff there's a later note of extra stuff that's on the original list, not this one, but these are part of it. So suggestions made from chat, from the people at guests and so forth is OBS style studio upgrade.
Yeah. Hmm.
Because
I
I
can already
think
tell you. I can already tell you from what I do know from developing is all of this stuff on this section of the list. Really heavy stuff. Really
yeah,
heavy stuff. These are big asks. So those are like long term projects. Each one of those.
yeah,
Yeah.
which again, it's not a thing that the normal people who don't know the technology part of it will understand. And I
Yeah.
think that's where having people like, had Vaping Gamers on,
Yeah.
and
He
all
knows his
that
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if he spoke too much on it, but still, it's an understandability. I mean, he made Rumbot, so enhanced mod tools. I think that's one been asked a lot, like making mods easier from chat. Like you can make mods from chat, and then
Yeah, that's another one of those security vectors you have to be very careful with, though. So
yeah,
while it sounds great, I'm sure a lot of R&D went under where other sites are doing similar things. That's one of those things where you kind of want to leave that for last when your developers are starting to run out of things to do, and then you go to something like that. Because
man,
you still got meat and potatoes, fundamental stuff in this site that have to be worked on first, for sure.
yep. Then you have platform unity between desktop and mobile.
Yeah.
There was someone who mentioned it to me that they were making the comparison to YouTube again. You could do that, but at the end of the day, YouTube is just miles ahead because of the resources they have. And if Rumbot intimidated me, I might be scared.
I think he
Well,
said imitated, right? Yeah.
imitated, yep.
I'm gonna make a version of Rumbot that's specifically modeled after Blip.
There you go. Just feed them all Blip lines and be like,
Yeah,
"Yo, what
just
up?"
every time Blip's in a chat, I'm just gonna feed those lines to the Blip bot.
Yep. The Blip bot, and Blip bot is
I'll
just like
call him
go.
Blip and a bot.
Yep. And I'll just rag on them all day long. It's like,
Yeah.
you know what? And then of course the better analytics, which is coming with the dashboard. There is that, but that'll be version 1. So I don't know how better it will be. So we'll see about
Yeah.
that. And then of course the next one was API expansion. This was a vaping thing because he uses the API sort
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah, that one is a big deal. And then honestly, of those things in that list, I think that would be the first one to do.
Mhm.
Although the payment options could be again, you're working with a large corporation that's trying to stay afloat. So the payment options is going to take priority, but the API to me sounds like one of the more important things to do.
Yeah,
Um,
and this, of course, I mean, of course, they're adding Bitcoin, so there could be that. I
yeah.
know they talked about Stripe, so there's that.
I wish they
Um,
would do basic attention token because that's built into the Brave browser and it's something that people have access to generating for free and then they can freely give to people.
See, yeah, that's
Um,
the thing. That's the thing I would think too. Is a lot of people use the Brave browser. Why wouldn't you? And they have the crypto thing. I mean, that'd be something. That'd be a partnership I could see that could work together because it's not. They're not competing, right?
right.
Rumble is not a
Yeah.
a browser. It is not
And a
a
lot of
browser.
people on here use Brave, and it's kind of the synergistic really to use their currency. Like you can have Bitcoin too. There's no reason why you couldn't, but
Yeah.
I think that Brave's been trying really hard to go, hey, look, you can donate to creators through the browser without an API accessing it in the page. So why not just partner up with them and then you can go, oh, I'm on Daramouthe's channel. I'm going to give him, 50 bat, and there it is, done.
That's something I'll have to write down. Where's my
Because it's already in the browser. You don't have to program that. You just have to sign up for it. And then the only thing they have to do, the only thing on Rumble's side though, is they have to be able to funnel those to your account.
Yeah.
So there is a
So
little bit of work done, but they don't have to deal with the interface or the transaction. They just have to redirect it to your account if you have it set up.
Brave possible collaboration. I'll leave it there. Possible collab.
Again, that's definitely back burner stuff, but I would say it should be on the horizon for them because it's already there, it's already developed, it's just ready to go, and they probably even have a lot of support that they just go, here's what you want to do for your individual creators, and they'll just tell you, they might even have code. I don't know, I haven't looked at their stuff, but they might even have code that they just need a clip and put in their own site to do that at this point, just like
Oh,
PayPal.
yeah, and to think about, Brave wants the same sort of thing that,
Yeah,
Rumble
freedom,
wants. Freedom of privacy, freedom
privacy.
and all this stuff. And yeah, that could be something to bring up for the next one because the next one I'm having is on the 28th, the last Saturday of December. I already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I already have 5 people, so I only have one more spot left. So, and they're mostly just people I've had on before. But well, one of them I haven't had on before, but I'm trying to broaden the horizon of bringing people on who've not used the platform before. I gotta use the restroom for a second, so I'll be right back. But if you want to kind of look over these and kind of go through them of why they'd be difficult for, or because you were talking about the difficulty of doing these, if you want to kind of go through them a bit and explain that why while I go to use the restroom. Right back.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
I mean, just looking at the OBS style studio upgrades, I mean, OBS is a rather complex piece of software. It's constantly being updated. It has a lot of, I would say, almost hardcore control. Like there's almost too much going on in OBS sometimes. And it's like if you were to ask someone from scratch to, I don't know, what's your favorite design program? Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator or, any of those programs, they're an entire you're starting from scratch because you got content layering, you got different types of rendering, you got key coding, you got like the list of things you'd have to do to get to an OBS style studio upgrade is insane. It's you might as well buy OBS and then somehow emulate it on a web page. You'd be better off. You'd be better. I mean, OBS is open source, so maybe they could pull that off. But I don't think converting it onto a web page would be great. You might as well just use OBS natively because you're going to have rendering issues. That's the other thing is when you do too many complex layering processes inside of something like OBS, like for instance, I play Helldivers. And I like I got my screen over here, right? And I got like a blue screen. This is what I use. I'm setting up a new layout, and I had the blue screen overlay, right? And the system automatically cuts me out. And it uses an AI algorithm, but that's on my graphics card.
Yeah.
And so that takes a lot of resources. So if I were to do this type of OBS level stuff on a web browser like Rumble Studio, and then I'm trying to play Helldivers on top of it, my frame rate's going to drop.
Yeah.
So even if they did decide to do OBS level upgrades embedded into a web browser, the performance is not going to be as good as a natively downloaded executable file generally. Right. And so I wouldn't recommend them endeavoring in that until they just have nothing else to do, to be honest. But that's just one example.
Yeah. And again, it's just it's what they can handle, right? Because again, they're pushing the 3 other things that they've got to get done. I mean, they're still gonna pay attention to the emoji things on the app because obviously there's gonna be bugs and stuff. I'm just about to start. OBS cleared the space off my C drive last night. Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
I'm glad to see the improvements that they have done. I mean, the first of all, the let's go with the positive side of things. The data, the delay, the latency is so much better now. Yeah. I used to be streaming, and and someone would be at live, so they hit the live button, right? They're completely live. There's the meter doesn't go any further to the right on their screen, right?
Right.
And they'll still be like 60 seconds behind me. And so I don't know. I mean, when you talk to people in the chat, you probably get this where like you read the chat and you're like, I don't even know what the context of what they just said is, right? Because it was 60 seconds ago and you were talking about something else. Now you're talking about something new, and it's causing all this confusion. Now the latency is so much better. It's like closer to 4 seconds or something like that, 4 to 10 seconds in a lot of cases. I mean, sometimes when it's busy, it goes slow or it kicks you back about a few minutes or whatever. I was getting kicked back 7 minutes all the time, 6 months ago. And so that's significantly improved. They also allow you to do 2K. I've been streaming 2K for the last month or two, and it's been great. It works excellent. I haven't had any dropped frames. I've been running at 60 frames a second at 2K, which is 1440p. And it's holding up like a champ. I haven't had any issues with that. And so I have to give them props for working on the most important part of a stream is the streaming part first, so they're definitely working. And so some people might not have seen these subtle changes because they're not actually doing the type of streaming you and I might be doing. But I just want to let that be known that, hey, they've done so much for the video quality. Even the compression looks better. If you look at some of my older videos, I was putting out 1080p high quality, but they were just getting turned into potato mush. Yeah. If you look at the compression algorithm on it, it was horrendous, and the frame rate wasn't good either. And so now with the same hardware from like 4 months ago, with the same hardware and the same output, I'm getting better quality. So are all the other streamers. I'm looking at theirs and I'm like, what did you change? I'm asking them questions, right? Yeah. Like I haven't changed anything. Just, because they'll be running. I mean, most people run at 1080p, right?
Right.
So I asked the 1080p guys because their stuff looks so crisp now. Because my 1080p looked like garbage back then. That's kind of why I went to 1440, because I was like, oh, let me just up the resolution, see what I can do, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to give Rumble props for fixing those things, and I know that they're not going to get any. They're not going to get any credit from the end users because they probably don't notice it, especially if they're on their phone. You're not seeing 1440p on your phone. You're never going to see that quality shift.
Yeah, and again, they're going to make the comparisons to, well, it's already been out there. You should have been able to do it by now, that sort of thing. And it's just like
but we're playing catch up over here. What can we do?
Yeah. And of course, at the end result, he's got 70 unique data points collected, 7 creators participated. Top priority out of all it was studio improvements. Most praise was community support, and most needed was mobile app overhaul. Which, I mean, there's still there. I mean, people still want to subscribe from the mobile app and other stuff. But I mean, once gifted subs gets added, I think that will create a sort of a level out to where they give them some time to either catch up or whatever, and then just go from there. But I mean, this is the data set I have. I mean, this is about as good as the data set I have, other than bookmarking people's things on Twitter X, just trying like, okay, so they had this issue, like the search. Someone said like search improvability, right? Like the search bar needs more improvement of like fuzzy search, right? You know, it finishes out like a title or something like that. Because Rumble doesn't have that. You have to look up for the
Yeah.
exact name. I mean, you
I've
can't.
written search bars like that before on programs in the past. They're not easy. They're not.
Yeah.
Even if you want to do a basic one, they're kind of tricky because you can end up with the wrong kind of like super wrong kind of results if you don't do it right.
Yeah.
So I understand why that's something you have to really develop.
And the Blip has a question for you.
Is it boiled down to bandwidth? Well, bandwidth is one aspect of it, but honestly, bandwidth isn't an issue because, like, if you have, for instance, as someone who's uploading video, I only need 8 megabytes of upload data, so 8,000 kilobytes, whatever you want to, kilobits, and so that's not a lot of bandwidth for the upload side. So on the user end, it's not that bad. I can get really clear 1440 60 frames a second with 8K on the upload side. The issue becomes, in a lot of cases, it has to do with the post processing. So I don't know if you've ever noted, well, if you've ever uploaded a large video, and I know Blip, you've uploaded some videos. I don't know if you've uploaded some really large ones, but if you upload it and you immediately go to watch it, you'll see that it's like in low quality mode.
Yeah.
And it hasn't rendered the other versions because they have to render a small version for the phones. They got to render, or people with slow connections, they got to render it really small. Then they got the medium connections, and they just keep going, right? Because they got to scale it at different levels in order to make it the servers work more efficiently to give you the right amount of video for the screen that you're using. And so that processing is a big part of it, and the quality at which it processes will determine how much number crunching it has to do to keep it simple, right? Memory, storage, just CPU or GPU usage. All of that stuff has to come to play. And so, like, when I do my 1440 streams, it's 1440 when you're on there, but then when you go to replay it right after, it's like 1 megabit, like 720p or something like that. And then it's like that for like 3 hours, and then it'll come back to 1440, and then you can go watch it in high quality. So they're still working on that end of it. So, but yeah, it's not just about bandwidth, unfortunately.
Yeah. And before we go any further, it's it's a little past it, but it is the it is the top of the hour, sort of past the top of the hour. But you know how that goes. Yeah, he didn't want that. But anyway, good sir, your let me check first. Your link should be down below. But if you want to promote yourself, the floor is yours.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm just a random dude on Rumble who likes to game, and my channel is Hanz Diamond Ball. Actually, I did get rid of the Hanz Diamond Gamer, so that's another thing. If we're talking about Rumble, is the confusing setup that is the channel system.
Yes,
because I've seen people abuse it for like weird things, and then I've been confused by it, and then other people who came to me were confused by it, and so it would be nice to somehow sort that out. So what I ended up doing is I just ended up getting rid of the Hanz Diamond Gamer, and I just made I just put everything on Hanz Diamond Ball because I was getting some people following one and then some people following the other, and then so I think that there should be a way where you can separate them out, because like everything aggregates to the main channel no matter what I do. Because I'd like to do like the Only Hanz stuff to just be on Only Hanz, because then if people don't want to see that, they don't have to.
Yeah.
But I think that's why you have to have that separate channel. But if I do the separate channel, then the people aren't on that channel. It's just a confusing mess.
Yeah. And I've heard many people, well, that and then changing the channel name is another issue too. But yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I do. I'm not anyone special. I don't have any supplements to promote or anything like that.
Take this fish oil. Come on, take it.
Take the fish oil.
Yeah.
Not that end. This end.
People, he says, people keep subbing to our user account and not our streaming account. Bit of a pain. Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird, right? Because you're like, oh well, I'm not using that part, but somehow they're finding me in there. And Rumble Quacker. Rumble Quacker's been hanging around me and the boys over on my side of Rumble for quite a bit now.
Cool person.
Yeah.
And it's and again, that's one of the issues that's been brought up earlier on. But again, at a point, they didn't have the money, the resources, and they didn't have the talent to do it. And they do, but there's still some issues there too.
Yeah. Well, I imagine account creation can be very dangerous because you don't want to clobber someone's account when you change the system entirely. So I think it's one of those delicate things. It's not necessarily hard, but it's delicate because you're talking about database migration almost.
Mhm.
It's not quite migration. It's as if you're migrating a database. You have to be incredibly careful how you handle that data because you could end up taking someone's entire account and just clobbering it, which is why it's smart that you do what you do and you have backup accounts because it's not always maliciousness. It could just be straight up someone flubs something or the wrong farm goes down at the wrong time while they're migrating. Who knows?
And that's what happened to me. Early it was last week. I was gonna have someone Laifu, good stream dudes. I loved no that's I didn't
Thanks for coming in, B-roll.
I was gonna have a VTuber on called Laifu, and I came home and I was watching like Crowder and stuff, so I had premium and everything was working fine. I come home and my account has been deactivated. Like,
I heard about that. Yeah, I was
just
gonna
gone.
ask you about that. So was it just temporary? There's a couple days or
It was so I left when I left work, my account was still there. So it must have happened between that point when I left to when I got home. I only have one account. Well, there you go. You're good.
yeah. It's a
But
smart move. That's why I had to undo mine, and that's why.
yeah, I only have one account too.
Yeah.
But yeah, because it just happened. I did email support, and they Rumble Mario first got back to me saying we had a small issue. We're looking at it, and your account should be back in a few minutes. So
Yeah.
they did get it back. It's just I wasn't told. Okay, so why did it happen? Like, why did my account get hit? And just like you were saying earlier, that could have been the reason where someone made a flub, or they were trying to do account something like that. They
Yeah.
could have been doing a test and just something happened. But
Well, when they're upgrading servers, they have to redistribute the load onto the servers, and that is a migration of sorts. So I could see that happening very easily. The good news is that sounds like they have backup systems in place, so there are redundancies, which is great.
Yeah.
That means they were able to recover you and put you back on from a backup system. Is my
Yeah,
guess.
which
I'm just guessing. I'm not part of. I'm sitting here talking like I work for Rumble at this point because of all the technical
yeah,
stuff. But
you get knowledge and stuff.
I
That's
just understand kind of what's going on, and I
Yeah, and
hope that more people are understanding of like what Rumble's going through because you talk to any developer and it's like every company's like this. Every company's got these issues.
and the funny thing is, you'll see replies in like Rumble video stuff where you say, "I'm a developer. I've been doing this thing for ages. You could have done this so easily." It's like,
no.
Really can you do that easy? And it's like more the majority, a big chunk of the time, it's more like you could have just copy pasted. Like, that's not how that works. And all that stuff. I'm not pulling that up.
Blip's always pushing the limits here.
Yeah, and the thing I'm having now with Rumble Studios is that my YouTube side chat keeps getting disconnected and connected again. So
But to answer your question, Blip, yes.
So there's another thing right there. I sent the pictures in yesterday because my chat on the YouTube side keeps getting connected and disconnected, and I don't know if that's the Rumble Studio side or the AP side of YouTube, but I hope they figure that out because it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you won't see anything pop up from the YouTube side chat wise if nobody's made something new, but it is what it is. Again, for my side of things, whether you're on the Rumble side or whether you're on the YouTube side, if you wouldn't mind leaving a like, sharing the content, leaving a follow or comment, anything that helps with the engagement factor is much appreciated. Because again,
Wait,
guys,
I gotta leave a like. I forgot to do that. There we go.
There he goes.
There it is. Yeah.
But the point of the matter is that the engagement factor helps with not only being seen more, as it does with all creators, but it also helps in having more different people on, because one person can lead to another, which leads to another. And a lot of the people, Hanz you were through the Pay It Forward, is where I think I mentioned.
Yeah, he ran into me on one of my streams, and he dropped in there and was trolling me with cash. You were just making it rain. And I was like, who's this guy? And I had to go check him out. And then, we kind of started talking, and I was like, oh, I'll go on his show.
Second time. Yeah. It's been awesome. But yeah, it's through that. And of course, some people are met through other people and those connections and stuff. And that's why I've met majority of people through one after another after another.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoy doing it because, know, in life as an adult, you're trying to figure out what to do with your life and all this stuff. And I just started this thing not knowing where it would lead. And once I hit on the conversational aspect, I was like, wow, how is it that I'm doing this and I'm not seeing very many from other people? It's just weird. But that'll be after. But yes, any help with engagement is much appreciated. Of course, if you want to see where else I'm at, there's a link down below on either the Rumble or YouTube side. You can go there. You can find my stuff. If you want to take the opportunity, come on, look. I don't care if you're a creator or not. The point of the matter is, if you want to take up the opportunity to come on, right? And there are probably a few days left in December right now because the holidays. Once it gets like to the last 2 weeks, it gets kind of iffy because it's the holiday stuff. So
I still want to see Blip on a stream. I tried to get him on Cool Frog stream one time when I was on there. Maybe you get Blip on there.
well, he probably doesn't speak English, so there's that too.
Oh, that's right. Is it because he's a bot?
Well, you could just be some Indian guy just typing through.
You're gonna need like one of those censor buttons though if you're gonna get get him on here.
I don't have that. But yeah, if you want to see where else I'm at, the link is down below on either YouTube or Rumble, so you can find me at my places. And if you want to take up the opportunity, leave a comment on either places or go to the link and you'll find me there. And again, guys, any help with the engagement, my link down below, it's much appreciated because you guys, I can't tell you how much I appreciate just being looked at because I didn't think I'd be here. English, there he goes. He says English. He's not even.
I'm familiar with English.
Me too. Hey, Vet Gaming, how are you, good sir? How are you? But yeah, I'm not. I didn't think I'd be here doing this at talking to other people, whatever. I started out playing games, and that really didn't do very much. And then once I hit on talking to someone,
there's a bunch of people I've talked to since we last talked. I've run into a lot of people where they're like, yeah, I started here playing games, and then we're into philosophy, or we're into music, or we're into whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's probably. I think the gaming part is the gateway, for people because it's easy. It's an easy level of entry because you don't have to provide content. You just enjoy a game that you like, and then once you get to talking to people, you realize I kind of like talking about this topic or that topic, and it kind of moves away from that. A lot of times on my stream, we end up talking about philosophy, and it's like, maybe you should do a round table. I don't know, but maybe a different kind of round table.
Well, dude, you can do what Cool Frog does. I mean, that's a lot of hours though, but still.
Well, he does. Yeah, he's a hard worker, man. He's like doing that at 3 a.m. and then by the time he's done with his stream, he gets up and he goes to work right after that. And it's like, oh, I don't know. I barely stream once a week, so that's enough for me.
Yeah, I stream about every day, but it's more of just the scheduling part of it, right? Like scheduling is still going to be a difficulty because people are, they have a life, they have their thing, and I can't, I can't control that. So I try to work with the other person, like with you, right? We were kind of going over a schedule because I was doing. I did notice you made an account on Twitter X, like, oh, so he's on Twitter X now. I thought he was never going to come over.
Oh.
But yeah, it's I discussed through Discord trying to get a schedule down because being busy and stuff and all the people I had on, and we were able to get one because after today I'm not going to be back until the 2nd, so there's that. Because the thing, I don't do family events and I don't do holiday weekends, so once the day's over, I mean you'll see shorts, but that's pretty much it because those are pretty much easy done. And I've had a hard time in being motivated to make more shorts because even though I use Opus.Pro, there are still times where it's just it's rough.
It becomes a drudgery at a certain point when you do editing and things like that.
And I want to give the best of it because I'm presenting these people I have on, right? I'm presenting, Silver Fox. I'm presenting Lumpy. I'm presenting Eclectic Goat. I'm presenting all these people, and I want to do it in the best way possible. Now on YouTube, you can go up to 3 minutes now, so I don't have to worry about 60 seconds anymore. I can give them more fuller context, but I still take away the empty spaces, the uhs and ums, and all that stuff. And there's still and Opus.Pro does help, but it does get tedious, and I think that's part of it. And also, I think the other part too is it does take a lot of time, and I just want to do quick go. But again, the process is. I could do a little editing. I could learn a little skill in editing. I could do a little this, that. And again, Opus.Pro does provide those tools.
Well, and the thing is there are people I've seen, because there was a guy I was helping with some audio stuff about a year ago on YouTube. And what he would do is he actually just invited anyone to clip his stuff and post it, like on TikTok or whatever. He's like, find good clips of my video and post it. And I think he was even paying people for it. Like he was like,
Ow.
but it was like, I think what what it did though is it got his videos out there, and people would find him back through the tendrils of the internet.
Mm.
They would source it back to him because he's the originator of the videos, right?
Yeah.
So he was actually kind of open sourcing his own content
Mm.
to get his name out there. And I think he was big. I think what he just said is like, you monetize it, you can collect whatever money you can get off of TikTok for it. And then all of a sudden he had, like, I don't know what he got to, like 100,000 viewers or something like that pretty quick within like a year or two.
I mean, I'm open to that. It's just the problem of it is I don't want people taking people out of context. I want as much as possible, right? Because there's still things you have to exit out, like extra
Like
words.
that thing where you choked earlier and you said wrong hole.
Wrong pipe. But there's just stuff like, no one can know what I'm looking for in a short thing. But if there are people who do want to, I'm not going to come up against you. It's just, kind of credit back. I mean, I still have this to kind of credit back, but at the end of the day, it's not a laziness thing. It's just there's a motivation factor to it, and at times it feels like I have this whole, I have some time this week, and I'm like, I can make shorts because there's a time period for the shorts to be made, right? It's a month. But unfortunately, I just lose motivation. I'm like,
well, and so at a certain level, though, when you're building whatever you want to call it, brand empire, or just a forum, there's a certain level where you have to start delegating tasks, right? And sometimes you have to get creative with how you delegate those tasks.
Yeah.
And so if it's AI that you're delegating it to, or it's maybe you get an intern or someone that remotely does it, or whatever it is, you're going to eventually hit that wall where you just can't do everything yourself. And
and I'm not doing everything. It's just I would love to trust Opus.pro, but there are times where it gets the wording wrong. There are times it spells numbers out in words and stuff like that. Or
I see a lot of TikToks where they put the text on top of everything all nice and neat, but it's like completely wrong text all the time. I see that on TikTok. I'm like, I can understand what the guy's saying, and it's not that word. Like, what are you doing?
And that's what I want to try to avoid, is because it's gonna make mistakes.
Yeah.
Right now, I uploaded a piece for Opus.pro, and the funny thing is that the captions are off from what's being said, and all that stuff, and it's just crazy. But here's B-roll. We're ramping up over on B-roll here. Excited to keep up. Yeah, and I know the frustration with the channel thing, but at the end of the day, I know that they're talking about coming out with that creator program. And also the thing with Rumble Premium, right? Because they're doing that with the doc, and of course Crowder and so many others. But once that option becomes open to people, because again, Rumble does not have a members only stream sort of thing like YouTube has, right? Like they have members only, whatever. And if people are able to have that, and who knows if they'll give a chunk of that money away from the premium, I don't know. But at the end of the day, that's something that is kind of needed because people do want to do.
Well, if I understand correctly, what little I do know about Dr. Disrespect coming in is that he has an equity contract.
It's something with I don't know if it's a contract, but it's something with equity. So he has
so he's got a stake in the company, and so if the company grows, he grows, and that he can take whatever amount of money it's currently worth and triple, quadruple it if he helps grow the company itself. And the first thing that comes to my mind is, if I was in his position, I would try to get as much revenue stream injected into the Rumble as a whole. So, for instance, he wouldn't just focus on himself. If he's a smart businessman, I don't know the guy, so I don't know if
neither do I.
But if he was, and this is just me speculating, you can put this in the red book for a year from now. I would speculate that if he's a smart businessman, what he would do is he would leverage the raid system to promote the other gamers in Rumble directly to pump up their channels, drive revenue to theirs. Because if someone's willing to watch his stream, a couple times a week, they might be willing to watch all these other streams. And now he's multiplying the amount of money coming in, which is going to benefit Rumble, which is going to drive their stock up, which is going to drive his overall, assets.
Yeah. And there was someone, I think, when they had the thing with Chris and Silver Fox and Lumpy, Silver Fox did ask that. He was asked, sort of asked. He did ask. He asked that first of Dan Bongino, which is like, whatever, and then he asked that of um, Doc, and I was like, you can't ask the CEO to say, guys, you need to raid. That's not how that works. It needs to be something they want to do rather than forced to do. Because they're forced to do it, the energy's not gonna be there. It's gonna be all wacky.
I think most people that raid like raiding. You know, like I enjoy finding someone like who's the guy I found recently? Casual Gamer 916. That dude plays Helldivers in super Helldive mode, and I'm impressed like hell. And he only had like, I think he had like 6 followers, and I found
Yeah.
him, and I'm like, this is someone worth raiding because he needs more attention, and I'm excited about that. And I think that it's just, even though it's a smart business move on his part, I think it's also something he would be excited to do. You know, but I think you're going to be shrewd regardless, right? If he's smart and he's got this equity contract, he's going to do something about it. He's going to make that the whole reason why you get an equity contract is you are now invested in the company. You are in control in a certain sense of how this revenue stream occurs. So if you decide to tank the company, well, you're hurting yourself.
Yeah, and of course he's in a position where he probably doesn't want to do that because Twitch doesn't want him. YouTube is screwing him over. I don't think you could get the same amount from BitChute or Odyssey, let alone Party, that new one that's come out. So right now he's in a position where, like you said, you can make this platform great. I know this is going to be an advisor for gaming, which I don't know what that would entail other than maybe better latency and better quality, but it's going to be a time where he's not coming on until the second, so that'll be that.
It'll be interesting to see what happens, but I do think that there's a chance. I mean, if okay, the only thing that I would be concerned about is if the controversy that followed him prior turns out to be like a tip of the iceberg kind of situation. That could actually hurt Rumble. That's the only way I see that going wrong, is if there's more to the story, or there's some other story, which is why relying on an individual like that to toe the line on a company that hard can be a risky move, you know?
Right. And right now things are not as clear on that because you're getting one story or the other. And of course, Blip Blap's gonna, this isn't good. Well, it's a business move. A business move is a risk. This
business
is a
moves
risk.
are not, they're I shouldn't say apolitical, but they're amoral, I guess is the term you would want to use. Is most business moves are amoral. You're looking at the pragmatic side of the transactions, and you're making the decision the best you can with what you've got, you know. And sometimes you have to make a move that you don't quite. I'm sure there's people that work for Rumble that are like not a big fan of this move. Maybe I'm not saying why, because I don't know enough about the guy, but from what I heard, it's like there is some controversy around him. That already puts up a red flag, and you're going to be like, well, you got to be a little bit cautious about that, a little bit at least. Even if you're a big fan of his, and you know that, even if you're not a big fan, but you know that he's going to bring in big numbers and he's going to help the community a lot. You still got to be cautious about it, and that's where I'm at. I don't know, because even if he's a good dude and it turns out everything that was said about him was a lie, you could still bite Rumble in the butt.
Yeah, and that's again, it's like you said, it's an amoral. It's more of based upon just trying to get the gaming side better. Silver Fox put out the video, and that's what started the egg gaming on Rumble and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, it's like you said, it's a stepping stone, but there's got to be more than just the monoliths that are being made, because that's also another issue too, is where they brought in Dan Bongino, relied on Dan Bongino. That's what the political thing became. And then you had the complaints about the political, and then now you're bringing in Doc for the gaming, and you could have something of similar fate. And possibly, and this is just a possibility, that the content creator thing that's coming up next year could, even if something was happening to the Doc per se, it could offsettle that. Possibly. Not a guru, not a thing or whatever. But at the end of the day, I understand the controversy because, again, it got people talking about Rumble, good or bad. So I guess it's something.
Oh yeah, the headlines are all over the place. Like, you can't avoid it. It's a big deal. I just wonder if they're collecting pseudo celebrities like Pokemon. Like, they got the Tates over here, right? So they were, I guess they were. They had the whole thing where they were arrested earlier this year for a bunch of stuff that they were accused of, and it's like, it's going to start to look bad if they start collecting too many controversial figures that have that. I don't know what you would call it, but I know that there's a lot of hashtag Me Too esque
Yeah.
stuff flying around that people are dealing with, and they collect too many of them. It might have a negative effect on certain
Yeah.
demographics, for instance.
Well, there was a rumor, and this is just a rumor of someone saying that Asmund Gold would have been interested if he gets a call from uh, Chris. But I mean, I don't know if Asmund Gold would help in any better. Or Olorus, you'd probably be given the same sort of deal like equity, right?
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, I don't know what he could bring in other than maybe gaming faction. Hey,
Yeah.
Sergeant Wilkie, nice to see you again, sir.
The thing about the gaming sector is that they are the most consistent, and I don't know if I'd use the term loyal, but they're just metrically consistent
Mhm,
viewers.
mhm,
And they actually engage more in a lot of cases than a lot of other types of streamers
mhm,
audiences. So it's one of those things where if you can pull that data and you can show that you're getting that, and you're also pulling those numbers for your advertisers,
mhm.
it's a huge it's a gold mine. It's a
Yeah,
digital gold mine
yeah,
is what it is. That's why Twitch is such a big deal. That's why you got hot tub streamers, because it's the pull, right? It's this demographic that will just watch hours and hours on end of a particular thing, and they'll even pay money into it where they can siphon off a bunch of that money. And
mhm,
so there's a huge gold rush, I guess, in a sense, for that demographic, because you don't get that with the needlepoint crowd,
mhm.
or the underwater basket weaving crowd or whatever, right? Or
Yeah,
the carnivore community or the vegans. You're not going to
yeah,
get that same level. You're not going to get the sheer numbers.
yeah,
Everything else, it pales in comparison. And political is really high up there. That's why they started with that.
yeah,
And political is important, right? And especially since you're talking about free speech, it makes sense that political would take over first.
right. Yeah, and
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, it's a business decision. We'll see what the future
Yeah.
holds for it. Because right now, um, it's just gonna have to play itself out because everyone can take a guess of how the future will hold, but until the future arrives, you're just guessing at this point. And you could
Yeah.
say, "Ha, I told you so," but then okay, did it exactly happen as you say, or did it happen just slightly different? Because that's the issue, right? Is it gonna happen verbatim, or is it gonna happen in a slightly different way? But we don't
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, you
and
got to
that's
keep an open mind. I mean, this could all turn out to be incredibly good. It could fall flat. It could do all kind. It go completely sideways. I don't know, but we'll just see.
yeah, just sit back and like again, you're gonna have people who are gonna be on the controversial part, and people are gonna be on the positive, like this could bring a lot to Rumble and all that stuff. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's gonna be a chaotic mess until it plays itself out a bit.
Yep.
And of course, the starting points could be in the second, but it's going to be the months after it that are gonna play itself out. I wonder myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
we're all wondering. Yeah,
yeah. It's we're called.
Rather sh-
I'm cautiously optimistic at this point.
yeah.
That's probably the position I would put.
Yeah, and
Um,
they kind but again, they kinda need to get away from the political aspect because it's become its own monolith, and yeah, while you said
mhm.
that's the money and all this stuff, but if Rumble wants to be more than just politics, it's gotta jump from that board onto something else.
Yeah, and the
It
slap fest stuff isn't working as far as I'm concerned.
Slapfest, you have the UFC, I think, is on here as well.
Are they?
Um,
I didn't even. I don't ever see any UFC related content in my feed. Maybe I'm too buried in the gaming section.
you have okay, so you have Slap, you have SLS, you have Nitro Cross, you have UFC up top, you have Barstool Sports in the system as well.
Oh,
So you
there it
have all
is.
that. Yeah.
Okay,
But
so they have a whole section. I have it all set to my feed by default, so I don't spend too much time on the homepage.
yeah.
Mostly because when I go to the homepage, there's a lot of stuff I don't really like watching. That's why I was telling you before. I was like, a curated page that isn't just my feed would be nice.
Yeah.
Just because if you keep seeing the same five guys up on the screen, then you're gonna be like, I'm just gonna go straight to my feed every time.
Yeah, and that's why even with the For You tab, which is up there as well,
Yeah,
you start seeing that. And of course, it's like I don't watch Dan Bongino, but I keep getting recommended him. I do watch Crowder, but I don't watch Bongino. So it's sort of
yeah,
like this whatever. But yeah, we'll see what happens. And again, people will be happy, people won't. But at the end of the day, guess what? Um, You're either gonna ride the ride till it ends, or you're just gonna go somewhere else, and that's why I multi-stream, right?
I'm
Because
just gonna sit back and eat some popcorn and watch what happens.
there you
That's
go.
my like. I'm not invested in any of this at all as far as like the person or the
The
situation around it personally. I'm just
Yeah.
just here to see see what goes down because I'm kind of just witnessing all this stuff unfolding and Rumble in general. It's kind of interesting to just be here and just participate in such a way that
Yeah.
I didn't do before with other services. So
Mhm.
yeah, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, definitely see. But at the end of it, obviously, getting to getting the factualness of the tech side of it, right? Like I can't go in depth because I don't know much about it.
Mhm.
But to have you on and kind of explain it a bit kind of helps in the manner of people to understand. Look, guys, I get you want these things, but if you could
Yeah,
only understand the coding faction, how long it takes, and the R&D and all the money that goes into it, you would be so out of your mind to ask for those things. If you were the ones working behind the scenes and people were asking you for that, you'd be like, man, we're already working on this stuff, and they don't have a whole lot of
yeah.
people.
That's why I'm like hesitant to even make suggestions anymore about what to do because a lot of times the suggestions I want to make are already being worked on. And so it feels like I'm just like the poor guys are like, "Ah, I've already, yeah, we're working on that. Yeah, we're working on that. Yeah, they've heard it a million times already, right?
Mhm,
So I'm trying to wait for it to all to settle out to where it's only things that people haven't noticed.
mhm,
But that's what all I want to get across to people is if you don't understand the technicals, at least if you've like your round table with Vapin, he might have explained it some.
mhm,
And what I've been saying is just like, look, we've both at least been in some of the development type side of things ourselves. Just
yeah,
trust us that this is not as easy as it sounds.
mhm,
When you're scaling up to something like server farms,
yeah,
across the world, right? And
yeah,
you're trying to transmit this data at high rates of speed. Like there's so many factors to this that isn't the same as building your mom's website.
mhm,
It's not the same as a little bit of HTML code
mhm,
for to sell cupcakes, on your Etsy or whatever.
yeah,
It's a completely different animal, and it's because of the scalability that
yeah,
it makes it difficult. The scalability and your exposure to the public. The
yeah,
more eyes are on your website, the more likely that there are going to be attacks, which means the tighter your security has to be, and
yep.
all of that factors in.
Oh yeah. Again, when the whole they got what was it, DDoS, like months and months ago, and of course they were able to get it done quickly. But like you said, the more with bringing in Doc, they're bringing in other stuff too, like the attacks and all that other stuff. There's a lot of things there. I know someone, I think it was Lumpy or Silverhead, asked about 2FA for Rumble,
Two
and
factor authentication. Yeah.
yeah, and Chris said that is coming, but there's no determined date. So there is that. Um, but yeah, it's gonna, again, it's all gonna be a conjecture of possibly, maybe we'll see how it goes. And like you said, there's some things easier to do coding
Yeah.
wise than there is anything else.
And there's a couple layers to that two-factor authentication that actually would improve Rumble quite a bit. One
Mm,
of which is that there are ways to do two-factor authentication where people don't have to have a password.
mm,
So like there's certain apps out there now where they don't even bother having you remember a password. You don't have to keep it saved in your browser. All they do is shoot you an email. Here's a code. You pop it in, and then
yeah,
that makes
that's
it's a convenience thing for a lot of people that they're getting used to on other apps. That'll
yeah.
bring them there where they're like, oh, I got to remember a password. I got to make up a name, whatever it is.
Mm,
And so if you can take down some of those barriers where people are like, I don't want another password. I don't want another login. If you
mm,
can tear that down, that helps. But it also helps with authentication of real people versus bots. So it helps on the bot side of things to
yeah,
have the two-factor authentication on top of it being more secure because someone could guess your password hypothetically
yeah.
and get in there.
Because I use Proton. Uh, you know,
Yeah.
the thing Proton, mail, Proton Mail, Proton, all this stuff, and they do have sort of that TFA thing where it changes the code, right? It randomizes the code every
Yeah.
once in a while if you activate it. If you don't activate it, it's more of a password. But they also have that with a code a password manager as well, and all that stuff. So there's that.
Yeah.
Um,
And if you can get encryption and make sure that it's not again, two-factor authentication is great, but you got to build all that system up or use some third-party system, which I don't know what this. There might be services available, but I imagine they're incredibly expensive. So you might be better off developing it yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something that I think would be a very important thing to do at some point.
Yeah, and again, talking to people like yourself to help realize the scope of things, I think that's
Yeah.
I think that's what would help. I know they probably couldn't do it because they're busy, but it would help benefit Rumble if they could just do a sit down and say, "Look, we understand all the wants you want, but here's some of the explanations why it would take so long." Something of that nature would help in understanding me. And yes, maybe people don't care at all, but I imagine if you put something out that could kind of explain a little bit, like a 3-minute video or something, like less than 10-minute video where it's explaining, hey, we can't do this because of this or whatever, or this will
Yeah.
take a lot longer.
That is a good point. That's a really good point because I think that goes back to what I was saying about like the availability of information on the site directly is
Mm,
incredible. Like it almost feels like when you first get on the site, like it's not a real legitimate business almost because there's
yeah.
certain signs to not a real legitimate business, and it's that they're not explaining technical details about certain things. And I
Mm,
think what you're saying is absolutely correct. Like they need just put a forum page, like use some sort of like forums, like one way forum system somewhere on the website
mm,
where they can communicate to the community, at least for now, temporarily, until they can come up with their own like messaging system or message board system,
mm.
and just have it where it's consolidated on this website because we keep having to dig for other information elsewhere. And
Yeah.
like I said, the bit rates and the data protocols that you need to send through OBS, I have to go on to an FAQ site that isn't Rumble Direct. It's some other side server that I think they might have created. I'm not entirely sure.
Right.
But that shouldn't be the case. It should be where it needs to be on the page so that the end user, which is the person that you want to get in here as easily as possible, can have
Mm.
access to it. And when they have
Yeah.
questions like that, they need answers. It should be this very simple Q&A when it comes to these current issues, and maybe even like a priorities list. A lot of games on Steam now, if you go to Steam and you can go and look on the list under a game, you can
Yeah.
see patch logs. And into the patch logs, a lot of them will say high priority, medium priority, low priority. These are the current problems. These are the ones
Yeah.
we're working on. And it actually just it shuts everything down because then people will leave you alone so you can go work. And if they don't see it on that list, they can make new suggestions instead of
Yeah.
repeating the same old complaints all the time.
Yeah, and that'd be I'm sure that would be like a time taker because you have to compile the list, you have to compile the data for that and all this stuff and put it in the right organization. I can see where that could be a nuisance because they just want to try to get these things done out the door, but it would benefit and help like you said about the forum one way, right? Like it
Yeah.
would help and just because again, if you do a forum, it's going to be abused, right?
Yeah.
Forums do get abused, CP and all that stuff would probably be put on there, just because people could. Um, but the issue of it is that they need something on their site that doesn't have them going to X or Twitter X to go and ask them over there. I know they say go to support@rumble.com, but the point of the matter is that's that would help just to get a question answered about something simple, just to go to that forum thing, the one-way forum thing, and just done. And you wouldn't have to worry about it. It's just
Yeah.
right there. They can pick from it, but they don't have that. Their help center widget is just old. It's still old school.
Yeah.
Old school.
No, it is. And again, it might there might be some layers that I'm missing where adding something like that to the site could be problematic for one reason or
Yeah.
another, or they tried it at some point, maybe it disappeared, or maybe they have something I haven't looked at in a couple months. We could be digging up stuff that they've already fixed because I haven't looked at every nook and cranny of the site. Maybe they have that support information somewhere better, but I'm just going based off of what I've experienced over the last several, like since I started really this whole year. And knowing that, it's like, okay, the user experience is a little wonky and it kind of puts up some red flags every once in a while. It's like BitChute. Like BitChute, you go to BitChute and you're like, this place is sus.
Yeah.
you know?
No. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
it would be helpful. But I do remember Rick had said something like they're going to try to clean up the help center stuff, but that
Okay,
was
so
ages
it's
ago.
not just me then. Some other people are like, yeah,
Yeah.
we need to sort that out.
Yeah, it needs to be sorted out because again, like you're like with even with Rumble Studio, I mean there's still stuff that don't have answers to, and it's you could go to the feedback thing, whatever, and that's another thing too is just being able to tell about feedback or bugs, but even then that would require someone dedicated to collect all that data and put it somewhere. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a human manpower resource thing, and that's a whole nother beast itself. But
Yeah, and so, they're gonna do what they can do. I know that that's just they're scrambling at this point, but,
yeah,
um
because like you said, it's in the game of catch up, right?
Yep.
Instead of copy pasting what another platform put, they're building from the ground up, which requires a lot of manpower, a lot of resources, and a lot of data and time. And those are
And
things.
and if they don't have the experience in those development fields specific to those things that need to be done,
Yeah.
then they're spending extra time doing trial and error.
Yep.
Because if they can't bring in someone who actually developed one of those systems, they're gonna take a lot longer because they're gonna have to start from scratch on a
Yep.
developmental level. Like just you make something and then you try it and it fails horribly, and then you got to do it again and do it again and do it again until it starts working. Whereas if you had someone with that experience and you're able to pull someone that's like straight up from YouTube that developed the two-factor authentications, whatever it is, right? that
Mhm.
that subsystem, then you gotta leg up.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to pay a lot of money to get those people because they get paid a lot, and it's
Yep.
hard to do that. You can't. I mean, it's gonna be hard to out money someone like YouTube.
Yeah. It's either you're paying for the experience or you're taking up a bunch of people who kind of sort of know what they're doing, but it's just time. So it's money or time.
Yeah.
Two different things. You're either giving up a lot of money or a lot of time. And
They're working on the time side because they don't have a lot of money. I mean,
yep.
that's just how it is. And I think of it like you talk about civics. There was a bridge in my town that they were talking about building. I don't know. It was like 16 years ago when I moved to this town,
Yeah.
and they only finally built it like a couple of years ago. And people go, well, why did it take so long? And it's like, well, you had to talk to this district and that district and the railroad and then the highway, the Department of Transportation, and then you had to get through redlining with the county and all these things to just build this one bridge. And then once they got to the actual building of the bridge, it was done in like 6 months,
Yeah.
right? But it took 15 years to get to those 6 months. And I think that's kind of the similar thing here. Is you just have to know that this is like civics or civil engineering, I should say.
Yeah. Civil
it,
engineering.
it, it everything runs at a different pace when
Mhm.
you're building infrastructure, even if it's digital infrastructure or physical infrastructure. You can't just erect a building. You got to get the land set right. You got to put all the pipes down. You got to get the electrical. You got to get it, check off this, that, and the other, right?
Yeah.
Before you can even put the concrete down, and then you put the sticks up. You don't just put the sticks up and expect it
Yeah.
to have a house.
Yeah.
You can frame a house in a day. It
Mm.
doesn't mean it takes a day to build a house. It
Right.
takes like 2 years in some cases, depending on what kind of area
I
you're
was,
in.
yeah. How or the things you want to put in your house, right? Like all the technical things or like these type of windows,
Oh yeah,
whatever.
you got all kinds of layers of stuff you got to do in there, and then you got to have the people to do it. I'm watching houses being built behind me right now, and they didn't have roofers for 2 months, so the roofs just sat there bare for 2 months, and so uh, that's the type of thing that they're dealing with on the technical side with Rumble is that they're trying to build a house, but they might not have a roofer, they might not have an electrician, or if they do, they only have one electrician. So it's taking forever for him to get to every single one of the houses because he's the only electrician they have.
Yeah.
And that's the analogy that I would probably recommend people use if they're going to try to describe what's happening with Rumble right now, because it isn't really just them being incompetent or lazy or anything like that. I don't think.
Because again, Rumble YouTube's giving me an issue with Rumble Studio. There's a question on the YouTube side from Luke's Awakening. His first question is: with all the years that Rumble has been around, how much time do they need
Hmm.
for the work, for the working stuff, like all the upgrades and trying to get the gifted stuff, that sort of stuff we've been talking about? How much time do they need?
How much time? I mean, that's the tough question, right? Because you have to layer it properly,
Mhm.
and it's like if you had infinite money and infinite manpower, they
Mhm.
could probably fix it in 6 months.
Okay.
but because they don't, it's like I would love to give a number, but you can't because I don't know what their resources are like. I don't know how they're. I mean, I'm not in this. I'm not in the company, so I have no idea what they're dealing with. And then you can have setbacks, and then and those setbacks can be unknowns. Like, you worked on a system, and you greenlight it, and then it goes online, and then all of a sudden it just causes havoc,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden you got investors pulling out because you guys screwed up. Like, giving an actual time frame is almost impossible with these types of things. That's why I say it's like civics.
Yeah.
You don't say that about a bridge game being built. You might give a time frame from when it's green lighted to when it's actually built, but even those numbers are like, okay, we're going to give you 9 months, but it'll end up taking 18 months,
Mhm.
to do a project like that, because they had setbacks. Maybe there was a storm, maybe there was whatever. And I think that rings true for software.
Yeah. Well, and they did have Rumble did have was in a hurricane not too long ago.
And the
Um,
literal hurricane, yeah, like,
yeah.
so you have things like that can go down. You can have political things that stop them from doing what they want to do. I mean, there's so many aspects to that like making a prediction of when they're going to get that online
Mhm.
is tricky. But I would say if you're investing in Rumble, like I am,
Mhm.
like actual investing, like stocks,
Yeah.
it's a long-term hold for me. It's
Yeah.
something that I will look for dips. I will buy more, and I'll look for dips, and I'll buy more, and I'm just going to hold it until I see that they're finally getting in their stride. And I don't think they're there yet. I don't think they're hitting their stride yet. And this Dr. Disrespect thing looks like one of those gleams
Right.
of hope that
Yeah.
it could hit its stride. And
Mhm.
you'll know when it hits its stride, because all of a sudden people that you don't that never talk about Rumble will start talking about Rumble.
Right. So he responded it, but it's 2 points. First part is Rumble isn't a new platform. It's not like they're in their first year or two. And he's saying, I'm just asking because they've been around for 11 years, which is kind of 2013. So yeah.
Yeah.
I think that many years in, some of the minor issues shouldn't be a thing.
Well, and
So
I would probably say, yeah, I agree that seems a little odd, but I also look at things like BitChute, and I spent way too much time on BitChute before I got on a Rumble,
yeah.
as just a watcher, right? Like, I was just checking out strange videos and things like that, and they just didn't seem to improve ever for
Yeah.
years. And BitChute's model isn't that great. Like, they're not bringing in a lot of revenue as far as I can tell. I mean, I don't
Right.
see how they're bringing in a lot of revenue just by looking at them.
Mhm.
So Rumble being in a similar situation for 11 years, they could have been on a skeleton crew,
Yeah.
and it wasn't until they got a kick in the butt after all that transpired the last couple of years that they finally started to develop in the direction they needed to. But again, it's still a resource issue, right? They have to pay for server farms on a monthly basis. So it's not like you can just keep throwing money at it. Because the money that you're throwing at it is partly in maintenance.
Mhm.
And
Oh yeah.
so
Yeah.
if you're barely balancing the books, you got, like, let's just imagine they only have one developer.
Mhm.
But for the first 10 years, they only had one developer. Let's just pretend. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
case. But let's
Yeah.
pretend there was one
Hypothetically.
developer for 10 years. Well, in a system that big, if it's constantly growing even just a little bit through those 10 years, and he's keeping up with these load changes, and he's got to go and deal with the bots, and then he's got to go and fix this bug, and then, oh, all of a sudden this browser requires you to code things this way, and this browser requires you to code things this way, and then
Mhm.
this system, like, all of that maintenance is it's taxing on the company. So they're constantly having to up their game just to stay at level. Then you got R&D on top of that.
Right.
So you
Research and
need funding for
development.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you need a lot of extra revenue to do R&D.
Mhm.
And so it's like if you started a hot dog cart, right? And you're selling your hot dogs,
Yeah.
but you got to buy more buns and hot dogs, right?
Mhm.
You got to maintain the level of hot dogs and buns in the cart, and then you got to maintain the cart. Maybe you might have to pay for repairs
Mhm.
or whatever, right? But at some point, you might want to make, I don't know, hamburgers as well. But
Yeah.
now you need a bigger cart. Well, where's that money coming from if you're just barely paying for the hot dogs and the buns the whole time?
Yeah.
It doesn't just magically appear.
Yeah. I think part of that comes from when they went public, right? When they went public, they got an infusion of
Yeah.
cash
Uh huh.
because they weren't public before then. I think it was in 2019, 2020 they went public?
I want to say it was 2 or 3 years ago, but yeah, I'd have to go
Yeah,
back and look at the charts. But it was only a couple of years ago that they went public.
yeah,
Um, but that's the thing is, yeah, it's usually a throughput issue. It's like a resource management issue. If you're constantly just barely staying afloat, it's like someone who lives in a house where they can barely pay their bills,
yeah,
and then your roof's leaking, and now you got to pay $12,000 for a roof.
yeah,
Like you got to go upgrade your roof. Everyone's complaining about the roof, but
yeah.
like you can barely pay your bills. So do you pay the bills or do you fix the roof? And that's what I mean by it's a throughput issue.
And then I think, and I'm not blameless out of that either, because I did look at the years and like, okay, well, all this stuff. So I'm not blameless out of that spite either. But I do, just talking to you, I can understand better that there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes we don't get told about, and
Yeah.
sometimes it'd be nice if they could have those conversations. But there's
And
a business thing.
it's
Yeah.
highly likely that they might have had employees back then that just didn't do their job and they were just collecting a paycheck. It's
Mm,
very likely because that happens a lot in Silicon Valley. I know a lot of people that were working for Intel and they're literally just put off jobs that they had to do for as long as possible and collect their paycheck and then get their separation and go to some other company.
mm,
So there is a possibility of some of that going on as well. So don't say that it's a completely blameless thing, but I think that the company itself, it's hard because a company is not an individual person, right?
yes, it's
It's a
individuals.
monolith. It's
Yeah,
got a lot going on inside of it, and if the people change, then the company changes. So as far as I'm concerned, I didn't see any change, or at least from what I've heard, there wasn't any change until recently. And so I'm going based off of when the change started. That's when they started developing.
he says 2020 is when they saw the major influx. I'd say that's when they went public. So 2020, we'll
Yeah, it
set
was
that.
around the whole COVID era when everyone was getting shut down and censored, and I'm sure that's a big part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So 2020 is when they saw that big influx, cash influx from, or no, is it cash injection? I don't know what they call that. Um, but yeah, just by talking about that, I mean, you kind of get the idea that yeah, they've had 11 something years, but maybe at a certain point they didn't have the resources, or like you said, they didn't have the right amount, they didn't have the right kind of people, or
Yeah.
somebody just collected to pay a paycheck, or stuff like that. That's probably why the whole channel user thing is so messed up, because somebody who made that coding,
I mean,
messed it
you
up.
could use you can use the analog of X or Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Elon, there was so many people working there that were doing absolutely nothing. There was that infamous TikTok of the girl just walking around with a
Oh,
latte.
I
Or
think
was
it
that
was
no? That was
LinkedIn.
was it?
LinkedIn.
Oh, that
I
was
think it was
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, it's similar to any company like that. That's kind of the mentality that goes on there. And then Elon Musk comes into Twitter, for instance, and he just goes, "Okay, we're just going to wipe all of these people out," and the thing's still running.
Yeah.
And so it makes you wonder, like maybe someone cleaned house, maybe they just got an influx of new people and they were able to afford the R&D, and then they hired some more people. I wasn't there, so I don't know the
Yeah.
details,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm thinking is what went down. And yeah, so websites can get stagnant and they don't change often. I think a lot of the large companies like Facebook and YouTube went through phases of that for years where they didn't have any real new developments for a long period of time despite their success. So
Mm,
when someone's not successful, I don't expect them to just suddenly out of nowhere excel past these other larger companies.
yeah. I'm trying to take a screenshot because YouTube is not showing up in Rumble Studio. Come on,
Hmm.
don't do that. Um, oh, um, there we go. All right, I had to do a screenshot thing.
Mm.
But yeah, it's one of those things where, again, going back to saying a lot of people don't know what's going behind the scenes. They don't know much about the technical stuff, and so when you have those people who don't understand that sort of thing, and they see YouTube and say, "Look, YouTube has all these things right there, right now. Just copy, paste, and do all this stuff." But then you're like, "But they're trying to build from the ground up. They're trying to do all this
Yeah.
stuff. They didn't get the resources they needed to jump up until 2020." And so you have all these things accumulating over time. And again, you know, you could consider Doc as that other thing, regarding of the controversy beyond that point, the people who can bring, the knowledge you can bring, and all this stuff. That's just another point of like when they went public. And so you have this thing where a lot of people don't understand and say, it's over there now. Just copy paste. We're good. But as you're just saying, that's not how it works in the tech.
Yeah, it's I wish it was that easy. I mean, Rumble would be doing so well if it was that quick and easy, but it's just not. The one thing though that I think you kind of touched on a little bit is that transparency again.
Yeah.
Why isn't Rumble doing their own roundtables like Lumpy Potato? I think Pudge and you have been doing, where you're like bringing people together and saying, "Hey, what's going on?" It doesn't have to be the same people, right? It can be like the
That's why
higher up people if you want. I don't care.
yeah.
But just get some people together, or even just have regular videos going, "Hey guys, this is what's going on with the new updates." Like we're literally like I'm usually magically finding out about these changes to Rumble from other people because they read it in a Discord server somewhere.
All right. Yeah, no, definitely. I could use just real quick. I'll be right back. But yeah, just on that manner of all this stuff. Yeah, they could use a bit more transparency, but you don't know why they don't say the things of transparency or whatever. We're not. It's a headless juggernaut stumbling around with layers of Autobots eating itself. Autobots? I don't think Autobots eat itself. I don't know.
Maybe they mean just bots in general, like automated bots. I mean, maybe not Transformers.
Oh goodness.
I mean, they might have hired some Decepticons, but I don't. Yeah.
But anyway, while I go, it is past. It is the second. It is in the top of the hour again, and of course, like I said, I have to use the restroom. But if you want to go and promote yourself, now's the time, and I'll go. I'll be right back. So, all right, go ahead, good sir.
Right.
Hold on.
Well, in case you guys don't already know who I am Hanz Diamondball, and I operate exclusively out of Rumble. I do not have anything to sell you, but if you're on Rumble and you like gaming, come check me out or check out anything on Rumble. Honestly, I don't really care if you're into knitting, underwater basket weaving, whatever Blip's into these days. I don't know what he's doing. But yeah, that's about all. I'm just here for a good time, not here for a long time. Is that right? It's not I'm here for a long time. Yeah. That's about right. What do we got down here in the chat here? No real people are pulling switches at YouTube for at least 3 layers deep. That is okay, so that's what you're talking about. Yeah, no, there's a lot of it is automatic. Give me a link. Oh, you're gonna make me let me go find the stream again. I'll drop a link. I think he's got it in the bottom of the
yes. Your links
underneath.
are down below. Yeah, no, and guys, his links are down below. No real. What's he saying? Real people are pulling switches at YouTube for at least 3 layers deep. Yeah, I put a thing over there, a short over there talking about the vulnerability in the food chain, and it got 0 views. And I actually viewed it, and it wouldn't even show that up. It showed the like, but it wouldn't show my view. And it's just type for me. What is it?
I got it. I'm gonna paste it in there.
Okay.
People like to be able to click on the chat. I understand that.
Yeah.
No, nobody looks the description ever anymore. It's automatically minimized, and there's like 1 line on there, so people are like, "Oh, 2 clicks? Nah, can't do that. Can't do that."
Yeah, I don't know, but anyway, yes, if you want to see where else he's at, he's down below, or you can just go to his Twitter X, and he has his stuff there. And of course, as always, thank you, Hanz, for that. It's actually been pretty informative, and I think a lot of people who are kind of quick to rush to the anger side of not understanding. And again, it's partly Rumble's fault for not having a bit of transparency, but
I agree.
We can't expect him to give on everything, especially when they're trying to get stuff out with this new upcoming thing. So there's that. But whether you're on the Rumble side, whether on the YouTube side, and thank you for being here to watch. I appreciate you all. If you wouldn't mind leaving a like, a share, a follow, or comment on either end, all that engagement factor helps out in not only being seen more, but also in having other different people on. Again, I've had people come through other people. I've had people come through the Pay It Forward stream, like Heck and the Y and Hanz, and so many other things. And again, the engagement factor helps with that. Look, I know the things I talk about, the things I do, they're not going to get the thousands of viewers or whatever, but I do this thing because I see something here, something calls me to keep going, and I just can't stop. Like, I'd rather be doing this my full-time job, but I know what the requirements are for it, and it's more pain than anything else. But I do enjoy this. I do get in the chalk, whether you're new or whether you're a returning guest. I enjoy all the same. So any help with engagement on either end is much appreciated. And also, if you want to see where else I'm at, got a link down below. You'll find my stuff. If you want to take up the opportunity to come on, either leave a comment on either end or go to that link down below on either end, and you'll find me there. And I'm easy to contact anyway. I've tried leaving email stuff, and I've contacted a few people through email, but at the end of the day, it's up to people if they want to take up the opportunity to come on. So again, any help with engagement is much appreciated, and of course, my link is down below. So yeah, tonight's been a very informative matter, and of course, I know apologies. Rumble Studios not accepting the for some odd reason, it's not getting the YouTube chat, but I can still see the YouTube chat. That's why I have the tabs open up above. So I saw that. But yeah, and I understand. And again, for Luke, I understand. But Hanz
I didn't realize I was supposed to be able to see the YouTube chat on here. I was like,
yeah,
oh.
yeah. I mean, if you scroll up, you'll see it, but it just wasn't showing up for some odd reason. That's probably partly because maybe the AI or someone's Rumble Studio. But I've given them pictures, and I'll keep giving.
Oh yeah, there are some up there. Huh?
Yeah. So, but no, I'm glad we're able to at least talk about those things and kind of get a sort of answer, because again, transparency factor and people just not understanding how the tech portion works. Everyone is on, it's like you're using a computer, right? You expect it to come up and go, but if something happens, you're stuck like working on it or taking to somebody else, and it's hours and hours poured into getting done. And the same thing with Rumble, right? People are expecting that you've already had this stuff out for a long time, just copy paste. But that's not in the path they're wanting to go. They're wanting to make their own. They're not wanting to be Parler. We also happen to Parler. They don't want to be Parler. They don't want to be tied to AWS or Microsoft Azure or whatever Google has, right? Because that means you're under their control. I mean, there still kind of is, because search engine and all the other stuff, but they're at least still free in their servers and whatnot. And you can't fault them for at least wanting to go down that route. But I understand the frustration is just when you're willing to take a step back and you're willing to say, I don't understand this thing, right? And a lot of people do that with giving their suggestions of, okay, you should have this thing, or you should have that thing, or the issues or whatever. People don't understand the time it costs, the resources it costs, the manpower it costs, the brain power it costs, and they're just sort of like, this is technology, it should be done now. And as you just stated, that just can't always be the case. It's not as simple as click and paste, because you still have to build the layers of the system, and you still have to build the security in those layers of the system. I remember I have my CompTIA Plus, but I don't know if I'll renew it or not. But there was like 5 or 6 layers of protocol that they have for that, and all that stuff. So I'm just going based off of what I can remember, and that's not very much at this moment.
You're talking about like the OSI layer? Yeah.
The OSI layer. Yep. Yeah. There's like transport and I can't look. I'm trying. I'm trying.
No, I mean, when you're dealing with networking was like a whole other deal on top of everything else. Because when you made the move from, in the 90s, where most programs were just offline programs, like if you played a video game, it was a single player offline, and then you migrate from that to going online. It added so much complexity to the game development. People don't understand unless you try to write that software by hand from scratch, from the bottom layers up, how much extra work it is just to network a few people together. That's why do you think most of these video games, like a lot of these more complex video games, like even the game I play, Helldivers, it's 4 players. 4 players. We're in 2024, and they can only manage to squeeze 4 people onto a server for the type of game that it is. So it's incredibly difficult. To pull this stuff together on such a mass scale, especially when you're streaming gigs and gigs and gigs and gigs of data all over the world. Like you're gonna run into issues, and it's not as simple as your grandma's website. That's all I can say.
Grandma, your website's slow. I'll just hit it, it'll be fine.
It's the GeoCities,
Yeah.
You got the You got that little counter at the bottom too. Tells how many people visited.
Yeah, and it is another funny thing too is that you have the companies like Comcast and Google and all that stuff, or you have the governments that get involved with their internet and all that stuff. Your internet is free, but it's not free.
Yeah.
As in, like, not like in free to use or whatever, but like in free in space of talk and stuff, because you're subject to the world's governance at a certain point.
Yeah.
Right? Like each country's governance, whatever. So I get when people want a free internet to talk on, but they don't understand that your internet is interconnected with a bunch of wires that not only lay across bottoms of ocean floor where they have to be repaired because sharks bite on or whatever, but
Those Russian sharks.
those and the lasers. Don't forget
Yeah.
those lasers. So I'm a fan of.
Yeah.
You got us up. Oh, thank you. Oh, he's talking to you. Sorry.
Thanks.
Talking to you.
Yeah, thank you. But the thing is if you look at the systems, there's so many layers. It's not just like the governmental agencies. I mean, like I said before, Google themselves have the App Store. So the direct competition to Rumble, because Google owns YouTube and all that, right?
Yeah.
Is in charge of gatekeeping Rumble from the App Store. So it's possible that they're putting a little extra pressure on them to like make like with their policies and stuff to make sure their app is absolutely perfect the way that they're specifying before it's released. I'm only guessing, this is speculation, of course, that they may be, gatekeeping a little bit.
So I'm sure you've heard those conversations about the chat censorship and stuff, or the words you can't say, right? Even though,
yeah, that's part of it. Yep.
Yeah. So what has been the conversation on that for people who say no, Rumble has stated it's a free speech platform, and yet they automatically censor and all that stuff? And then of course Chris comes out and say, look, we're beholden to these you got Apple and you got Google. That's it. Right? That's it. We're beholden to these. That's what they tell them or whatever. And of course they're like, well, give us a list of words we can't say or whatnot. But what is sort of, from your viewpoint, what can be said towards that? Like it feels like it's uphill battle with no way of just explaining, like, look, guys, Chris isn't fully wrong, but I get where you're coming from and saying, just give us a list of words of what we can't say and go from there, or just stop saying your freedom of speech, that sort of thing.
I think, and I had this conversation with someone recently too, was I think again, transparency is key.
Yes.
If, for instance, what I think Rumble's doing currently is there's certain, like, I think it's Rumble Studio, and I know Rumbot's not part of Rumble Studio, but Rumbot I think is also doing some of that, because I've noticed where I'll say a certain word,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden on the person's screen it doesn't show up, and or the person doesn't just, like, some people don't, like, you don't normally display all your chat, right?
yeah.
So then I'm either going to assume, as an end user, as someone participating in the chat, I'm going to either assume that the streamer is ignoring me, which is a misunderstanding that's not good to have when you're trying to build an audience, or that I'm being censored by the streamer for some reason. So what I think is, if you're going to do those things, you need to be very specific to the user what's happening. They need to know that they're being censored. They need to know why they're being censored and by whom. So if, for instance, it's Rumble Studio specifically that's censoring them because Rumble Studio has a certain set of guidelines they have to go through for whatever reason,
because it is on the app as well.
That. So if I type in the wrong, like if I'm over here like Blip typing in all these words he's got up in here, and it does nothing, all I see is my stuff goes in the chat, and it's shadow banning me basically.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take that as like, this is censorship. Now if it goes and explains to me, hey, due to Apple Store's rules, because this is connected, like, it doesn't have to say it all in the text. It can have like a link.
Yeah,
a link that Rumble pops back that says, here's the explanation as to why this is being censored.
Yeah,
and then you can say, hey, Apple Store requires us to censor this list of words. I think if you had that kind of transparency, people would be a little more inclined to believe it, because now it's not you, Daramouthe, that's censoring him. It's Rumble
Apple
Studios, or it's the App Store, or whatever faction that's got their hands in the cookie jar. That's the one that actually is. Flip says I don't care. Well, yeah, I know you don't care, but I'm saying other people might care.
Yes.
I'm just using an example because you push the system. So, and I do
Yeah.
too. Like I said a word I didn't think would be on a censored list, and I still got censored. And I was like, I didn't know it was something that was worth censoring, and it's
Yeah.
it's it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But apparently, there's words on that list even I don't know.
Yeah, and you could say them out loud, but you can't say them in chat. That's the issue is.
Right, and it's like, okay, I know it's easier to filter chat than it is to filter voice live like
Yeah.
this, but at what point are you just being ridiculous and you're just only filtering because you can? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's
Yeah.
like people banning firearms but not banning fire.
Mm.
You can't ban fire. It's pretty easy to make fire. Anyone can make fire, but firearms are hard to make. So so you can ban firearms. He blips like, I still
Censoring
don't care.
word
Then why are you still here, Blip? Tell me that's
by
why are you still here, Blip?
app
Huh?
stores.
I
Okay.
think you care. I think you care more than everyone else here.
Because there was a say thing given like, well, maybe one day we can separate the web part from the app part, right? Like the web would be on its own thing, but you'd still be
Yeah.
censored by
Filter
the
the
app.
words from going to the apps
Yeah.
and filter the words coming from the apps. But then if you're on a browser like I am
Yeah.
and and Blip says something like that to me, I
Yeah.
can still see it because we're both on browsers.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that was fine. Like, yeah, I guess it is I guess people are more mad at the transparency factor of being told, but they are still going to say, well, you said your freedom of speech, and then you're letting them take control. But it's like you don't understand how the game works.
No,
Like
and it's
this is not a video game. It's a game of you're dealing with a business who controls a big chunk of phones, right? There's only Google phones, and then there's only iOS. Now, don't get me
yeah.
wrong, I enjoy my thing,
You don't
but
you don't
every
want a
phone,
Tesla phone yet. Yeah.
well, every phone that has a rechargeable battery has had it go, be dug
I
up
know
by
you're
some
kidding,
slave
Blip.
kid. I know every phone that has a lithium battery and it has been dug up by a slave child. So good luck, guys.
Yeah. I mean,
But
if I'm going to get my slave phone, it's going to be from Elon because maybe if Elon makes if he makes this thing popular, right, he's going to have his own app store. And guess what? Guess what app store is going to have Rumble on it? The X app store or whatever.
it could still be censored because it's at Elon's thing, right? Just like with the whole,
Right, but I'm saying like
yeah,
the open market will eventually decide what is
yeah,
right, and the open market is driven by populist
mhm,
decisions. So if we all as a collective decide that freedom of speech is priority number one, and we continue to vote with our dollar in that regard,
mhm,
then they are going to have no choice but to continue to vie for our attention by being an open source or free speech open platform in
mhm,
that regard.
yeah,
If that can't happen, we'll keep migrating to the next thing. That's just how it's going to be. Like I tell people all the time, I'm not married to Rumble. I'm
mhm,
invested in it, not a lot, just a little bit here. I speculate,
yeah,
but if I see it take a dark turn, I'm out. It's the pragmatic amoral thing, right? Like
yeah.
I have no loyalty to Rumble, and I'm not afraid to say that. I have zero loyalty to Rumble. If Rumble suddenly, like, Adolf Hitler comes from the grave and takes over as CEO of Rumble or
Mhm.
whatever, you know, pick pick your enemy of choice, right? Like,
Hitler's come back from the grave to take over from.
and I'm like, oh, this looks like bad news. I'm out. I'm not going to stick around to see what happens.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and of course he says, "Oh, please let's
Oh,
not."
don't associate with free. You get what I'm saying, though. I know I'm not trying to make him out to be free speech Jesus, but he's done more for free speech lately than most people, more than me.
But
I'll
yeah,
admit that.
probably more than say Google has. So there's if you'll make a comparison.
Yeah, let's compare apples to apples there, right? Like literal apples, because it's try tweeting about starting a. Oh,
He's not free speech in action.
I mean, look, I'm not saying he doesn't have his agendas. I'm just saying that there's a better chance that if he makes an X phone,
Mm,
there's a higher likelihood that Rumble will be left alone to do what they need to do.
mm,
Not guaranteed, but if I'm a betting man and I had three companies to bet from, one's Apple, one's Google, and one's in X, I would vote on it. I would bet on X of the three companies.
about anything but Elon. Hmm? I don't know what that. That's supposed to go towards?
Didn't
Tesla or
blab about
whatever.
anything but Elon.
Hmm.
I don't know. Did you do something?
I don't know what you did, blip blap. Um,
Oh.
but I mean, it's again, yeah, because I've had a previous account suspended on Twitter X for no apparent reason. But I mean, a lot of people can't get by without using Twitter X. I mean, people say, "Oh, just go to Blue Sky." It's like, well, Blue Sky doesn't have the same kind of power Twitter X does. Um, but a lot of people, creators, use Twitter X because that's it. It's just there. Everyone knows who it is. It's got name. He's talking about Jack. Jack was interviewed. He got buried under investor interest. Well,
Yeah, I've heard of the Jack Dorsey redemption arc. I don't know all the ins and outs. And look, I didn't agree with when Elon Musk came back. I thought he was going to bring back Alex Jones right away. The fact that he waited so long was kind of odd to me.
mm,
You know, like he waited for the opportune time to do it. So I'm not a Musk zealot or anything like that. I just think that right now he's doing things that are moving the needle in the positive direction for the most part. But again, it's like any political figure or social corporate figure. I mean, you want to name you try naming 10 CEOs that are actually good people. Just
mm,
tell me, like who's can you list 10 people that are completely pristine and clean?
mm,
I don't think you can. I couldn't. I mean, maybe they're out there, maybe some, but we're hard pressed right now. We don't have much of a choice. I mean, these are the pieces on the chessboard we got to work with, guys.
yeah. Apple is selling you perfume. Well, guess what? So is every other people out there who sell a product. Any big high end Google sells you. Even if we talk about Samsung, whatever, they're
Yeah.
selling you the same sort of thing. Again, if you want to get real serious about your phones, you'd have to get rid of
Mm-hmm.
every single phone, because guess what? All those batteries, all those
Cobalt and
yeah,
lithium, and yeah, kids are mining that with their bare hands. And I
yeah,
mean, you can go on and on about how it's really developed, and it's basically slave labor.
yeah.
If,
But
but no one's stopping there. And so it's like, what do? Do you just not have a phone and you don't get your voice out there?
yeah. Oh, yeah, I mean, look at it this way. What about computer parts? So the stuff we use, are
Yeah.
they are they dug? Are the resources for them dug up to where they aren't being done by slave trades? Is
And
that
even
is
and even if you get it where it's sustainably sourced, it's like, well, did it move from one country to another country, and then that country lied to the other country by the time it got there? Like, we don't know. And it's like with the oil situation with like China and Russia. It's like, oh, we'll just funnel it through one other country to get it to this country, and then we just
mm,
bypassed everything. And
it,
so you're going to have that issue regardless of what you decide to do.
yeah. It almost seems like you accept compromises, but you don't know you're accepting them. Basically.
I think we all do. I mean,
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
fully
Yeah.
aware that this right here, this thing
Oh yeah.
is I would say I wouldn't say is a necessary evil, but I could probably live without it. But unfortunately, a lot of things in my life rely on it
Mhm.
currently, and I'd have to change my lifestyle tremendously. And I'm just as guilty as the next person.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
at least I can acknowledge that.
mhm.
And so it's acknowledging that there is this is where the pragmatism comes back. This is where the amoral
Immoral.
decision making comes from. It's like, what's the lesser of the two evils at this point? Right now, we're fighting a battle on a ideological scale about freedom of speech for the most
Mhm.
part, at least in this era that we're in.
Mhm. Yeah, and then you add all the technological stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
oh, he's talking about the escorts are cheap. He said he never had to pay. Well, that's good. No, that's good. That's a good one. There's a good plus right there. But I think again, like discussing before, we all accept a compromise that we don't know much about. And what about the clothing you wear? Where does that come from? A sweatshop? I mean, do you think all shoes are made under fair trade? Do you think all the clothing you have? What about cars? I mean, cars maybe because they're um,
Well, a
Florida
lot of
and
the
stuff.
parts are outsourced anyway, and then
Yeah,
they come in, and so it's like some section of it may have been,
yeah,
through those means. But you have to realize that in those countries where that's happening, it's like, what if you take that opportunity away from those people? What do they have after that? They just have starvation. That's their option. It's like slavery or starvation, because those countries are not going to support them. And so you got to think, well, is this slightly better than what their lifestyle would be like otherwise? I don't know.
It in essence would feel like an accepted evil, even though you know it's evil, right? Even though you see it's evil, it's an accepted evil because what else do you do but other go Amish, right? I mean, who here right now in the chat on both Rumble and YouTube is willing to go Amish right now? You drop all your electronics. You're willing to drop all your cars. You're willing to drop the home you have now. You're willing to go out there and live like the Amish right now. How many of you are willing? Even me. How many
I
of
think
you?
about it all the time. It's like thinking about the Roman Empire. I kind of think about becoming Amish quite a lot, actually. You know, I think they got some things right, but they kind of went a little too far to where like they were powerless in a lot of situations. That's what was nice to see the whole Pennsylvania thing go on during the
Yeah.
election.
Well, there's like Luddites and Mennonites and all this stuff, so there's that. Even the Amish have a double standard. Well,
Yeah,
it might be called a shotgun, but still, I mean,
their old stand. I don't think they can use a shotgun, can they? They can't even use.
I would think
They don't have
they'd
buttons,
have a
do
gun.
they? They can't.
I think they. Well, you don't. It's a trigger, not a button. I mean, come on.
I'm just saying, like, there's the rules they have are a little bit interesting for sure.
Yeah.
But I think that's what everyone's trying to find, that happy medium. Even the Amish, right? Like they're like, oh well, the wheel is an invention. It's a modern invention. They have their little wagons and stuff. It's like, well, why are you drawing the line there but not here? So same with the phones. Why are we drawing the line? Why aren't we drawing the line before we make these phones? We're not. And so, but we're trying to make sure that at least when these phones are being used, they're being used to preserve good, real communication between human beings. So we're drawing an arbitrary line again, just like the Amish are. So we can call everyone a hypocrite at some point. Every religion has some sort of hypocrisy built in because they decided to draw their line somewhere. The Jews decided to draw their line at the deli aisle. I mean, this is a weird place to draw your line, but they did it.
I didn't think you'd go for that one, but
I mean, it's the most obvious one, right? Because a lot of people are like, what? You can't have bacon? Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm looking around, like, what is the thing? Like, what's this all about? But those lines are drawn for a reason, because they made a decision in that era based off of something that was happening. It was probably that, people were getting poisoned by eating undercooked pork or whatever. It makes sense.
Can't eat that whole pig raw. That's for sure. I guess that is kind of. And then they got really good at making pickles. Well, hey, there you go. That's something. That's something to be proud of. They got really good pickle.
Churning butter, they specialized. They found their niche.
Yeah.
And they just specialized, raising barns, and
I raised a barn once till it was 2 years old, and then it just left.
And it just left you. Yeah.
That's the funny part. But I mean, again, we make exceptions to rules, and sometimes we don't even know it. And I'm not gonna say I'm blameless out of that, because I use technology. I don't know what went into it. I don't know.
This is alien technology, by the way. Can anyone admit? I don't know. I grew up in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
This is alien technology. This is so far beyond what we had. It was when we were kids. And it's crazy to me to even think that we were the ones that made this crap. Like, humans are so dumb. Like, how did this happen?
And it was inspired by, right? It was inspired by science fiction.
Oh yeah. It manifested that reality. That's for sure.
It was inspired by Star Trek, basically.
Yeah, they had the iPads in Star Trek Next Generation, and they're just like scrolling through their iPads, and now that's obsolete. So, for Star Trek standards, like we already way surpassed what they had in Next Generation, which is crazy. Yeah. Except we still don't have the teleporter and the warp drives and all that stuff.
Yeah,
all the good stuff.
All of the lithium crystals you could ever want and don't have.
I've seen some people make some lightsabers though, so I guess we're getting somewhere.
Oh. Yeah, there's a company out there. It's called Hacksmith Industries, and they're actually trying to make one. And unfortunately, they do sell some in the store. But I bought one of their like cheaper ones, and oh, I didn't put that in safety again, but
Yeah.
I actually put that all the way up, but there you go.
Yeah.
And it just sees
you get that beam shaped right, and there you go.
they're making bigger ones than these where it's no longer going to be attached to a tank and stuff because it has to use like a certain percentage of oxygen and all this other stuff.
Mhm.
Soon you'll just be able to have one. I mean, it'll take forever, but I mean, it's they're inspired to try and do it, and they kind of got a proto one, but.
And imagine if you had like a retractable rod in the middle so that it actually made it solid. So when you hit another saber with it, it actually stopped. I think you'd be good. You'd be pretty good off.
Otherwise, you're like
you're just whipping each other and then just burning each other's facial hair off.
Yeah. And your arm just falls off because it's been burnt through.
Yeah, it just melted. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what the lightsaber is supposed to do anyway, right? Yeah. But is it technically a fire saber if you're using a combustion method? Though?
It's based on the plasma.
Oh, okay.
Plasma.
So it's a plasma saber, not a
plasma saber. Yeah, but I mean, it's as close as you're gonna get to a lightsaber per se.
Yeah.
And they were showing, metal, putting it through steel and stuff and all that. Because I mean, that's what it's basically made for. But I mean, I want to see if I can't find. At least look this up before.
Because I always thought it would have been a retractable parabolic mirror where you put beams of laser light at the parabolic mirror and it bounces it back down and it just kind of refracts up and down the length of the retractor.
Okay, so this is from their store. This is from the Hacksmith Industry Store, and they sell these. These are their sort of lightsabers, right? And you could put, change the color and whatnot. This
looks like a light dagger. Doesn't go quite.
Yeah, this is sort of just to make the money on a thing, right? I
right.
mean, they kind of have to. But then the project, come on, the project itself is here. So this is Hacksmith Industries. This is their CEO guy, and I believe here it is. I gotta open a new page. Goodness sake. Here you go. And this is what they were working on. This is their prototype later right here, and it's been for like 4 years to get it done. And this is how they're doing it, right? They have the tank on the back, and it's sort of like a plasma. Here it says, where is it? It says, oxygen portable plasma-based lightsaber right over here. Portable plasma-based lightsaber that can cut through steel without being attached to any sort of external fuel source, which is what they're working on. So you see they can put like different kind of chemicals that change the color flame, but it is still attached to a proto tank. So there's that.
So they need some sort of solid like a solid state fuel source to make it last longer in a smaller container, maybe.
Yeah, and they're trying to work on that. It's the one they built like a clean room to have for like oxygen, and all that stuff, but it's still connected to a hose. Like you can go on to YouTube, you'll see this stuff like they made this, they have Mr. Beast on and all that stuff and all this, but at the end of the day, it's still a very much work in progress. But these guys are trying to make a reality happen. Again, this is like with the cell phone.
But isn't it crazy though when we look back at the technology that we were imagining, and now we have a lot of it.
Yeah,
we have the hologram stuff is crazy. I don't know if you've seen a lot of that stuff. Where they go in like a stadium and you got like a giant whale floating over you, a 3-dimensional whale floating in air because of the holograms and things like that. It's crazy what they can do now. I mean, you had the Michael Jackson thing, which was a while ago.
No, the Tupac.
Yeah, Tupac and Michael, and then I think they did a bunch of other ones. And that was a Star Trek Next Generation thing too. That was the holodeck.
Yeah. Previous
but instead of they jumped the holodeck and went straight to projecting it out in reality, which is crazy.
Now this is the thing I found for the hologram whale. Based on the provided search results, there is no evidence of a real functional hologram whale that can be seen in physical.
Oh, you have to probably go to videos. That's the AI thing. Sometimes it just doesn't know what to look for. Yeah, I think that third one might be it. Could be fake.
Oh,
I don't
this
know.
one, the incredible 7D hologram shows huge whale leaping through the air. Possibly, but I'm not gonna
Yeah.
play it because
Yeah.
copyright
Yeah, I
stuff.
know. Yeah. But there are other examples out there. And then if you don't even believe that stuff's real, you can look at the drone, the coordinated multi-drone
Mm.
uh displays they have, where they'll have like a dragon flying around in
Yeah,
the air because they
or
have
the
like a
spin bar.
thousand. Yeah, they have like 1,000 coordinated drones just making shapes and changing colors, and that's enough to make it. You get the drone small enough and coordinated enough, it can create the same effect as a hologram.
Yeah, and then you have what was it? There was the spinning bars one. They have the spinning bar where it shows like the LED thing. It can show
Oh,
like
I think I know what you're
spinning.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
they're using that for like display cases and things like that, I
yeah,
think. Yeah,
yeah, and it's a very fast spinning thing, right? It goes very fast, so you have to be careful of not being nearby, or you get pummeled.
you might go blind too. I don't know.
Ha, ha!
Can you imagine
um,
just those things beaming directly in your eyes? That's what I worry about with some of this technology. Is like, where are the beams coming from? Is it just shooting photons like that you can't even see, and they're just going straight into your retina at like a are we burning our retinas every time we look at a hologram? I don't know.
well, and then there's the oh shoot, I just had it too. Um, UE5, Unreal Engine 5. Did you see the demo of Unreal Engine 5?
No.
So Unreal Engine 5, of course, is by Epic, and also it's Unreal Engine. And Unreal Engine 5 was people have been making these things where it looks like it's real. Like it I better find
So like just hyper realistic graphics.
hyper realistic graphics. Yep. UE5 demo demos.
I could see where, like, how the some of the streaming not streaming, but the like TikTok or Instagram, they have those filters, Snapchat filters, for instance, where they live in real time manipulate the person's face. I could see them taking a regular video game and then live ultra enhancing the character in the video game to make them look realistic.
Yeah. There was one of like a Japanese station or something like that. UE5 demo demonstration. I'm trying to
Grievous is the most dangerous. Grievous, yeah. I mean, he had the most arms, so he had to be the most dangerous, right?
I'm trying to. Oh, here it is. I'm not gonna play it, but this is supposedly this is all made in UE5. All right. I won't play the video, but I will do like snapshot moments. This is called Echu Diamond Station, and this is from here. It is. My latest environment, freely based on a real-life train station in Toyama, Japan. The environment is running in Unreal Engine 5, lit with Lumen. I didn't use nanite. I worked on all modeling, texturing, lighting, and animation for this video. So basically, all this right here that you're seeing, UE5. And that just is crazy, because if that's all UE5 right there, minus the nanite, which is part of
Do they have
that.
do they have any sections where there's actually people? Because
It's all empty.
Okay.
It's all empty.
Because it's the people that are gonna make it. Like, that's gonna make it insane, is when you see a person, because these do look like photographs, which is great. But when you put people in there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I'm not playing the video though. I'm
No,
just
no, no.
kind
I
of
know,
doing.
I know.
Yeah, but you kind of see like how the light tracing and all this stuff and all that. But yeah, I can see you need a comparison like to the real thing, which
No,
I
it
don't.
does look incredible, but yeah, once you get through the uncanny valley, which is what your brain trips up on when it sees a character, when you can get past the uncanny valley between a 3D character and a real person, that's when you know you've made it, as far as video games are concerned.
Well, I think right now the one thing that UE5 has is metahuman, and they use that for Senua Hellblade. And I can find that Senua metahuman. Right. So this is her. This is the. I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna not share. Because I wanna.
Does C4 have a smell? I don't know. Never actually sniffed a brick of C4.
Yeah. I don't want to either because that's going to lead to some dangerous consequences.
It might smell like soap. I don't know.
Yeah. So this is the Unreal Engine showing off MetaHuman, which they have a camera rig and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But then they have the lady who plays Senua, which is that lady right there, and I think she actually works for Unreal Engine. And the funny story is that she was kind of found out through working at the company, and that's how she became for Senua, Hellblade. And so she's at a camera,
Mhm.
phone right here, and she's doing her thing. They're asking her to do like sad faces, angry faces, whatnot.
She looks pretty
And
human to me. No, just kidding.
yeah, this is
I
really her,
know.
and she's
I know.
lovely. She's just really her. I think she's Norwegian or Finnish. I can't know for sure. But she goes through a demo of angry, sad, or whatever, and they take that data off
Mhm.
the phone there, what they see.
Oh, so it's like instantly creating a character of her in real
Yes,
time?
yeah, and
Oh,
using her
that's
movements too. Yeah, using her
so
movements
anyone
too.
can be an avatar in a game of themselves.
Possibly, yes,
It
and you see that
potentially, yeah.
the guy right here was working on it, like, because it does take a few seconds here and there, but they're using her face movements. Again, I'm not gonna play it, but
No,
it's
gotcha.
gonna, you kinda see where the green, they're focusing on the eyes of, like, different points in the face. Um,
It's identifying key points separately with color codes, yeah.
yeah, and you see it, and of course, it's only taking her face. Of course, it's just using a camera from, I think it's an iPhone? I think it's iPhone, and they make a model, 3D model of it, just
Mhm.
using the face movements, and they kind of switch between the model itself and then the actual person, and you see sort of like the moving parts here of the model face, and
Oh, wow, they actually do it like
yeah,
the anatomy of it is built out. Yeah,
yep, like
interesting.
right there, and of course, again, they do the back and forth of the person and the movement,
Yeah.
and then they, of course, they go and they make the 3D model of the person itself. And this is her, basically, but it's the 3D model version of herself.
Right.
So you
Which when you
see
still
that.
frame anyone's expressive face, you're gonna get some bad shots like that.
Yeah. Well,
You're gonna get,
yeah,
like, an
yeah.
awkward position in their face, and it's gonna look
Well, and she's trying to do the flex of like the muscles and stuff, try to do in
yeah.
the demos. Um, I'm trying to find a really
It's like me
good.
when someone asks me to smile. That's what I look like. "Well,
Can you?
you need to smile right now." I'm
You,
like, "Oh, because what?"
but you just make a meme of this saying customer support service right here.
Rumble should, yeah, buy that, right?
Yeah. Well, not Unreal. I doubt they could pay for
No.
Unreal Engine.
No, there's just that screenshot. They just, you know,
Yeah.
put that on their support page.
Yeah, and it shows you again, it shows you using the things that they got from the camera,
Yeah,
the phone camera, right? And they go through and you see all moving mouth parts, whatever,
yeah.
and then they plant those same face motions on different faces, and
Ah.
it uses the same sort of face motion on that.
So they can use that map not only to create a character, but they can use that map to translate to other characters. So translate your facial expressions to another character
Mhm.
in order to more accurately express the way that would be more natural. Because otherwise, your like my face wouldn't fit that kid's face because the shape is completely different. So
Yeah.
if you have a existing mesh and then you have a certain number of vertices,
Mhm.
you reconstitute those vertices onto a new mesh. So they're
Mhm.
just the same number of vertices in a different position, and
Mhm.
then it would actually translate
Yep.
effectively what you're expressing, but in that naturally in that face.
Yeah.
That's yeah, that's interesting.
And again, this is from Senua Hellblade 2, right here, Hellblade 2. And this is, again, they're using her face because it is actually her.
Yeah.
They're putting it in there. And of course, you see different. I think this is a real.
That was
Oh no,
after
this
the
no,
right one.
it's a
She got
clean
ran over
version.
by a truck.
Yeah, it's a clean version of the face, while dirty version and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then you see different. It says real-time ZRT puppet and UE5, so I'm guessing different facial or different model faces, whatever. Because you do
Yeah.
see this where they're taking a motion capture of her face, and of course
Mhm.
they're capturing that in.
Oh, that's
Um,
an unflattering shot in the upper left.
it
That's
is what it is. It's getting
well,
data.
yeah, you have to get the data, and sometimes that's even worse.
Yeah, Yeah.
Oh,
But again, it translates to the scene. I'm trying to find different versions. So
so
yeah,
yeah,
you'll so you see like oh, where is it?
yeah, they go into some
Yeah, you can see
real
like
detail.
yeah, it's up close and it looks bad, but to be honest, that's how they're getting that data. Look all the dots drawn on her and all
Well,
this stuff.
they have to get in the crevices. So like a fisheye lens from that angle, it covers the nostrils and the lips and all that stuff correctly. So it makes sense that they would use that angle.
Um,
Um,
but beyond that point, I mean, for them to take what she's given to her, oh yeah, there you go. Look,
that's
that's a better
decent.
smile.
That's
That's a
much
better
better.
smile.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is that the face before is what happens when a customer comes up asking a question, where you finally resolve the question.
But it is just crazy to see how far technology's gotten so far.
And
Yeah,
this is
B-roll
from
B-roll made a good point too. Remember Facebook VR and you put a poop emoji on there?
yeah,
Yeah,
that wasn't that great. That was sort of meta
that's
and
where
all
we
this
were.
stuff.
What a few years ago? I don't even remember. It's probably been like
Yeah.
maybe like
But now you
6
have
years ago. I
something.
don't know.
Then you have something like Unreal Engine, and they're doing their own thing, especially with UE5.
Yeah,
And yes, it's still uncanny. You still see the uncanniness, but this is how far we've gotten. And
and it's only gonna get more compact and more available to people over the next few years.
this was from a
Yeah.
year ago. Look at that. This is from
Mhm.
over a year ago.
Yeah, so they probably surpassed this in many respects that we're not even aware of.
Yeah, it's just a fascination. But yeah,
Yeah,
when a customer
this
comes up to ask a question,
this whole
where you
video is memeable. You could just pick any spot and you have a different expression for everything. That's actually great.
and you're finally oh where is it
Honestly, this would be the way to go if you want like an avatar for your chat or something like that, and
uh,
you just scan your face, and then you can just go through until you find the right one, and you pick it, and you're done.
I don't know
But
how the copy I don't know how much copyright because I don't it's not being mean to her because of the
no, no,
person
no. It's just
yeah
we understand that like you freeze frame any picture. Like
yeah
you or I, we've been on enough video footage. You can find a freeze frame of us looking real stupid, easy.
yeah
It's
but
just it's part of the thing, you know.
yeah it's part of the technology but
I
I
mean, I
just
look stupid all the time, so it all looks the same. But
I just think I
that
that's the face you give when you
you
don't
just
want to
that's
answer.
a face you get when you tell her you clogged the toilet. Oh,
Oh man. Oh. Oh, that one's too good. That's Oh man. Oh goodness, that's too much. I gotta change it. Otherwise, I'm not gonna get through this. I gotta find okay, so this one's all right. This one's
yeah.
like this is the attentive face you give when you're listening to the customer, right?
Mhm. Yep.
And then um oh I'll go back. Trying to find 'cause it goes by like five oh I'm going a little too far. Okay. Um nope, I'm not playing it. Um so so you, would you when you when you've answered the customer, but aren't sure if they'll come back?
Yeah, this is definitely like this is just another stage towards that movie Ready Player One, where you
Oh
can
yeah, that's
just
right. Oh,
you
and the
know
funny thing is,
when they get this compact and more available, that's
yeah.
definitely going to be the future of gaming for sure.
Well, not only that, but they've already begun process of making those infinity tracks, right? The
Mhm.
infinity treadmill stuff,
Yeah.
and yeah, and that and they do have one based on the one that was in the movie. Um, so there's that, but no, this is more just
Oh.
this
Oh.
is the face you give the customer where you're like you're playing it like smarty pants sort of look, like you're trying to give
Yeah.
them an attitude. Sure, I believe you.
You, you want a discount?
Yeah, you wanna what again? There's a coupon you have?
Yeah. All right, I'll get the manager.
You get the manager, yeah, sure. Um, no, but that's still is pretty cool. Oh goodness, I don't. It, it's it's hard to find the right one. Yeah, you just side eye the customer in case they come back.
That's the thing though, is like the face is pretty far. I'm not getting the Uncanny Valley vibes.
Well, maybe from
but these are freeze frames, so it's kind of hard to tell. But if you paused a video of any person, you'd get all kinds of clips like this all the time. Yeah, that one's good. That's
you're suspicious.
I've seen that look on some girls before.
when you're suspicious,
like, where did you go last night? You know, that's the
when he said he went out with the boys. But
yeah.
Nothing against the woman herself. She's actually
no. These are great, and you know, I don't see any. Yeah, like
she's very lovely, but
yeah.
There's a good one. See, look, there's a good one right there. There's curiosity. That almost looks like a look of curiosity right there. It's just someone tells you someone tells you a joke, you're not sure how to handle it.
Yeah. Or he just told you he wants to split the check.
I'm having too much fun with this. This is hilarious. Oh my gosh, this is too much fun. People will be coming in. It's like, what the hell's going on? It's like, you should have been there. Yeah. You should have been there for that. But
yeah, it's interesting to, you know, we're gonna experience this soon enough in like real time, where there's gonna be avatars on web pages like this.
Oh my gosh, this looks like he just looks like 420 Kimberly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
oh man, I better stop.
Well, and I wonder though, you know how there's a lot of people who are being kind of psychologically manipulated by things like anime, right? You got people who are getting surgeries to make their eyes wider, and they want to wear elf ears and all that stuff, and you wonder if they make things this realistic and it's everywhere and it becomes the new media for TV shows and games and stuff, at what point are people going to start to mimic what the game is doing? So for instance, her expressions might have been a little overboard.
Yeah.
You think if everyone starts to aggregate to these higher overly emotional facial movements, do you think that young people will start to emulate that, and all of a sudden you'll get people that do all these weird expressions all the time?
You got that when Power Rangers came out. You got that when that one movie, you know, Jackass came out. You got you get that stuff already. It's just, I mean, technology is not going to change that sort of thing where that was happening, where people trying, you know, like the scene you see in, if you've ever watched Office, there's a scene where they try to do parkour and they do parkour on the boxes and all this stuff. And Andy jumps into a box and he lands in there. It's empty. It's like, yeah, that's probably not the good idea. But I mean, planking. Remember when planking was a thing back in the day?
Well, I'm thinking like as a whole, like, you know how vocal fry was a thing, where a lot of women were like, "Hi, you?" Like they sounded like Bane almost. Like the women would like fry their vocals on purpose. There'd be this rasp to it. So it's like, instead of me talking like this, it'd be like, "Hi guys, how's it going?"
Or I think you want to tell me a secret, don't you?
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, you went to TJ Maxx? I was born in it," or what? You know, like she just like they had this weird rasp, and they called it vocal fry, and it was like Valley Girls did it, where they like ended a sentence with like an inflection. And so I wonder, as a whole, are people going to change the dynamic of the way they operate based off of these avatars? Is what I want to know.
I don't need that. I just like, and then she came to the house and it was interesting.
Well, then you get you start getting people where there's actually a thing now, like some Zoomers are doing this, where they're actually teenagers actively going out of their way to change the way they talk permanently, which you can do. You can just start pretending to be Chinese, for instance, right? And then you just go with that accent, and then eventually it just becomes second nature, and that's the way you talk. And so apparently that's a thing. It's not a big thing, but there are some people doing that.
Yeah, I mean, you could pretend you're. Well, no, there is a thing where, you know, one day I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a syndrome or something where people one day wake up and they're speaking a different accent, and sometimes that just happens. Um,
Mhm.
not it's a rare thing. Don't think it's like it happens to everyone, but I mean, it does happen that thing. But
Yeah.
again,
I just think people are pliable enough that it could definitely change.
some people can't stand it, like cilantro.
It's like
Well,
some people are allergic to it, like cilantro. Some people can't
oh,
taste it properly. Cilantro is one of those foods that if you have a certain genetic, I think you actually it tastes like soap or something to you. Like so
mm,
it's disgusting.
I just have to. I just eat Mexican tacos with it. And I feel like I have to drain everything out of my body. Jeez. Um,
I think that just goes for all tacos for the most part. I don't
well, and they put a lot of onions on it too. But that's yeah. It's that the combination is not helpful when you're trying to walk and you're like, I need to go.
well, an avatar generally, I know you're probably joking, but I'm going to say it anyway for anyone that doesn't know. It's just a representation of yourself on the internet. It could be a game character, it could just be an icon on your chat like we have here. But yeah, the avatars I think are going to be that's going to be part of gaming. I think it's going to be part of this type of stuff too. You already got VTubers. I
Yeah,
mean, you've
VTubers,
interviewed tons of VTubers, and that stuff's not as advanced as what we just saw,
right?
but the rigs are pretty complicated. Like a lot of them have to pay a decent amount of money to get those rigs set up.
And I don't know what you'd have to pay for MetaHuman, but I mean, there's VTubing, but there's also I mean, there's just um, there was something else, but yeah, it's not. And he says you can train your voice to do just about anything. You work on it. I don't mind vocal fry, but it's like speaking German. Depends who's speaking it. Well, if you
Yeah.
want to speak German, then you'll speak it right, or otherwise the Reich will come for you and say you need to speak it harder.
Hmm.
And then you're looking at yourself in the mirror, and then it's sad, and then you go home, and no one loves you. I gotta look up the. I don't know what the
I'm pretty sure
the
Daramouthe's on a list just for his German. You know, he's
um. Okay, I'm looking at the. Hold on, here's the website. So before we start closing down, I did want to look this up. I didn't know if there was like a price for whatever. But this
is
is
this
the
German
meta.
singles? Oh,
No, no, this is the meta. This is the meta-human thing. That's the stage conference thing. So it's still an early access, I guess. High fidelity digital humans made easy. So you already saw this.
yeah.
Create, animate, all that stuff. Learn the ropes. It looks like it might just be free to use. 'Cause I'm
Yeah,
not
and
seeing.
that's a contentious issue for a lot of people. B-roll is virtual avatars. A lot of people don't want to be on video. They don't want to quote unquote dox their face or whatever. And then I completely understand that, especially on a free speech platform. People a lot of here understand that your privacy is important, and I think that's kind of what we've been talking about
Mm,
this whole time. Is you're going to see more VTuber esque type of content in that realm, and that's what we're seeing here over in Rumbles. You got a lot more VTubers coming in because they do value privacy, and they want to have a voice, and they want to interact with people, but it is kind of dull to just have voice and text.
mm.
So you kind of have to represent the full package of expression by having facial expression and things like that. So
And
I don't begrudge anyone for doing that. I think that's a viable option for a lot of people. I just personally don't want to go through the trouble of figuring out how to rig all that.
yeah. Well, and this is a GIF. So going back to it, this is a GIF of someone, half and half, right? And
Mhm.
you see how it just reads the, mouth moving, the eyes, and all the stuff. You see
Yeah.
how when it moves, you can see all the parts moving over here. Um, Creative time unlocked. Exported
Hmm.
DCCs like Maya for further
I
customization.
I get that B-roll. I mean, I only wear the beanie so I don't have to like sort out my hair before I get on stream. That's the only reason why.
I'm just well, and that's understandable
A
too.
lot of
Yeah.
streamers will just throw a cap on because they're like, I don't want to comb my hair this morning. It's all
Oh, here we
messed up
go.
in the back because it's my hair sticks out. So it's like,
So it's saying MetaHuman. So what does MetaHuman Creator cost? Preset characters and MetaHumans you create using MetaHuman Creator for Unreal Engine are free for your use in your Unreal projects. This means that MetaHuman assets must be rendered with Unreal Engine. So as long as they stay within the Unreal Engine and all that stuff, it's free. Like this is free to mess around with. Um,
wow.
will I require to access MetaHuman Creator, Windows, or whatever? So you have to do all that. Download the free standalone bridge application and whatnot. What version is supported?
I think they
4.
are. I think they are going for the VTuber-esque market, is what it looks like. And then it also for people that want to do video game development, you can do all kinds of things with this.
Yeah, but I mean, as long as you keep it within the Unreal Engine stuff, this is to do all this. Look at that right there. It's being done in real time right now.
But it'd only take 2 seconds to have that show up on OBS, right? You and I both know how to do that. It's a couple clicks. You have that app right there doing what it's currently doing. You can paste that into OBS instantly, and now you have yourself a VTuber.
Yeah,
that's how simple that is.
Oh, that's hey Fatal. How's it going? No, I was trying to get this one. I hate shaving. I have nose hair. I'd rather have an avatar people can project on. Exactly, and you see in this GIF right here where basically they're looking at they're not even using any dots. They're not even using any dots. They're just using the camera phone, and they're using the facial.
Yeah, it's actual like just they've already mapped it. They pre-mapped it, and now they're using an algorithm or even an AI sort like a low level AI of some sort where it's remapping it without dots or any type of special apparatus.
Yeah, and as you saw with the other one, right? Like flexible. Here it is. Flexible performance capture. MetaHuman Animator turns an iPhone 12 or newer and a desktop PC into a complete facial capture animation solution, reducing cost and complexity.
Oh yeah, it's going to help with TV, movies. I think you're going to see a lot of people that want to get into streaming. I think that this is very, very. If you could invest money in this, I would highly look into it personally. I don't know if they're on the public market, but
if you have the computer in hand, because I'm pretty sure it takes up graphic card or CPU has to be high, some sort of thing. But to take an iPhone 12 or newer, I could do it with my iPhone because I have an iPhone 13. You could do that, and you can capture your facial movement with your iPhone.
Yeah. It's crazy because you don't need to go and buy a bunch of hardware to do it. That's the crazy part. That's the crazy part.
Fatal's like, who said invest? We're just talking about Unreal Engine from Epic and how.
So I was like, Fatal Nexus. Is that Fatal Investing? Because that's the thing. It's probably on your list too, right? They keep putting they put the wrong names in the chat on the Rumble Studio side, which they need to stop doing.
And the other part too is look how easy ease of use they make this, right? So easy, anybody can use it. That line right there.
Look at that. Just changing the avatar, so you could make like a better version of yourself, like take the bags out from under my eyes or whatever, and then just bam, you're there.
He's calling me fetal.
Hey, okay, I stopped calling you fetal. We can let that go. Come on.
And then B-roll says James Cameron is at the front of the pack with this. He gets real-time CG character feedback while he's filming. Again, you could do that, but MetaHuman from Unreal is already doing that now, and you don't even have to have mocap.
Fatal, it was a term of endearment. Okay, I understand.
Because
I understand you don't like nicknames, so I'm just
It was. He said it was funny. It was funny.
Well, it started because he was doing Mario Kart, and I was watching him stream over there, and I was following Fatal before I even started streaming. So I was actually following him like last year sometime, and so because I was into the finance stuff like pretty deep for a couple of years there, and then he was in Mario Kart, and then someone misread it, like someone from another streamer misread his name as Fetal Investing. And that's where it came from, because I started every stream I would find him in, I would just call him. I'd just say, "Hey, Fetal," and that just became like a running joke for a while.
Yeah, no, that's fine. B-roll, and I understand that B-roll, but can he do it with just an iPhone now? Can he do it with just his phone? Because that's what they're showing too. Is you can, if Cameron could do it with just his phone, then I'll accept it. But if you can't,
if you can order pizza on what Cameron was using, I'm just saying, yeah.
Hello, this is Bob. Hello, this is Bob. I don't like nicknames. I call Ranstar Dance Rark. Look, You call people what you want, but
Wasn't
not
it
here.
Rance that was on your stream and he used the word like the term chalk demon to describe himself or something?
Yeah, well, he was going through a list of
Yeah,
old
you were
yeah.
in the chat, your own chat. You were typing the worst words ever, and I walk in, and then like, who was it? Was it UB Legend or something? Says, "Hey guys, chill out."
Well, he was going through like what the like be names for blacks and then there'd be names
Yeah,
for whites
yeah.
like cracker and stuff. But I think that was trying to find like the chat censor thing of what words could be said or not. And he says, I don't care for films anymore, but dude is doing one hell of a tech demo. Yeah, I don't. I mean, he had Avatar, he had all this stuff, but again, you have Unreal Engine doing it right there with just a phone.
It's the
And
accessibility to regular people too that
yeah,
it's becoming,
yeah,
and it's the rendering speed and all of that. It's the repackaging of something that has been around for a while. Like a lot of the stuff that we have, like these phones, this technology has been around for a while, but it's now affordable enough for me to spend $200 and get something that's incredible.
and then he's going saying it wouldn't be on your phone now if he didn't. Uh, are you sure about that? Because I mean, yeah, you could say that, but are you sure that sooner or later Unreal Engine wouldn't have come up with it on their own? I mean, that's the thing, right? We wouldn't know unless the thing led it there. So I can understand that. Like it probably wouldn't be there if James Cameron had to do it. But were they inspired by James Cameron? Did they take technology from James Cameron to do it? How was MetaHuman inspired? I don't know. And that's where we're kind of at right now. But we're not going to go too far into it because it has been past the point. So and it was a fun time.
Yeah. Well, those screenshots were just crazy.
I just get it. It's like a meme, just like this is what it looks like when the customer comes back to ask the question.
Yeah.
This is what happens when the boyfriend comes comes to tell you something, and he just farted.
Oh. There was just I don't know if it's the uncanny valley that made that funny or if it's just the
Yeah,
fact that it's so expressive.
yeah.
Because it definitely didn't look off-putting. Because when something looks like so off-putting, it comes around full circle to being funny. Like there's some artist, I think it's on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it now, where he actually draws horribly drawn portraits of people,
Mhm.
and they're almost insulting, but you can't help but laugh even if you're the person they're drawing because it's just so ridiculously bad. I wonder if it's like something like that where it's not bad, it's just the uncanny valley is at play there. That's why somehow her expressions are just so slightly off from what our perception of what a human being is
Yeah,
that it's tickling our funny bone a little extra. But any
yeah.
of you that didn't see it, you'll have to go back in the stream a bit when there's this woman's face if you see it in the previews where he was going to different screenshots of her face in these 3D renderings, and they were hilarious. And we started just making up scenarios as to what she was thinking when those facial features were coming up.
It was just like you could meme this face, you could meme that face, you could meme all, and of course
Yeah.
it's the girl who plays Senua from Hellblade, and she was discovered through working at that company to play that character. I think they're doing like bar.
Yeah, I've done that.
Oh my goodness. But no, it's been awesome. Of
Yeah,
course,
B-roll. Start drawing on napkins. Just you don't have to have a camera on you. You can have a camera on the table pointing down and just draw napkins. I mean, I'm serious. Like you got Eric John, pizza artist over here. He's just making pizzas with a camera pointing down, and people are just eating that up, literally.
yeah, figuratively and
Figuratively. I don't know about
literally.
literally. I mean, he might be baking it, and I don't know if people are eating it, but
I think he said people do order, like he did one that was like a SpongeBob one. People ordered it, but they aren't cheap
yeah.
by any measure. So
Well,
don't.
delivering it would be weird because if you got delivered across the country, you got to somehow flat
No,
pack it and freeze it.
I think he says they have to pick it up. I think he
Oh,
says to pick it up. So
that's
you
a
wouldn't
long
be able to
drive.
get it. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to get it delivered.
Mm.
But anyway, it is the top of the hour again. And of course, it's been an awesome time. But I think we're going to end it at this point because, dear Lord, that point just going through the faces. I'd like to go back and just make screen captures of that, but I don't know if I get copyrighted because, well, again, it's
You
not
shouldn't
against.
have to because it's fair use. We didn't.
Well, just making the memes of it, right? Like I wouldn't want to.
Well,
But
and there's a lot of memes where they're pictured screenshots of celebrities all the time, and no one gets, But as long as you're not like trying to sell photographs of it,
it's just for the
online,
funniness.
yeah, no one's gonna care.
You could a meme is always you can put the face there, and there could be like 100 different types of words put up there, like just
Yeah.
when someone passed you by and you smelled the fart, and that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. But it's also not anything against her because she is lovely. So it's always that thing of like
No, no, yeah, she seems like a really lovely girl, but it's just when you capture that moment, it's just
yeah.
there's something about that. There's just it's video. We're in a weird world where everything is changing so fast, and
Mm,
we're in a video medium. This is really strange to be talking across the country to some other person while 19 or 21 other people plus is in the chat. It's
mm,
all new weird stuff, and it's just going to get newer and weirder.
mm.
I mean, right now, Blips over here is speaking German about UFOs and abductions and stuff. I'm not sure what that one is. My
Oh,
German's kind of rusty,
uh,
but
yeah, and thank you guys for being here. Obviously, it's fun when
yeah, B-roll. Thanks for hanging out. Blip,
yeah,
of course. Pleasure
and
as
and
always.
and of course, I hope that earlier when we were talking about the tech side stuff, that you guys at least learned a little something a bit of. While there's the understandability from the creator side of frustration, there's also the need to understand of we don't understand the tech side very well, and to have someone like Hans kind of give us a bit of backing of what he knows or people he's met or whatever. Oh, see you later, Fatal.
Yep.
Have a
See you,
good one,
Fatal.
good sir. To kind of get that, to kind of understand that and see that kind of, because I know again a lot of people are frustrated because there's not enough transparency, whatever, or this or that. And it's understandable, but to have someone say, "Hey, look, guys, you don't understand how complicated this is. Like the server stuff, the latency stuff, all these things have to work together in conjunction, and it is hard." The fact that I have a TV studio on my desk still blows my mind. I learned editing on 3/4 tape. So guessing he's mean like film.
Hmm.
That's what he means by
Yeah, because the evolution of film itself has been nuts.
they just well, it's not just that. It's just they don't understand. They don't have they don't have someone like Han saying, "Look, guys, I understand your frustration, but these are the reasons that it might be," and it
Yeah.
can help bring down that frustration. It won't help get it dissipate it because that's on Rumble to kind of pick up the rest. But to
Yeah,
explain that
they need a PR person, I think. Like, I mean, I'm sure they have a PR person, but for like the
tech
investment
side,
side or something, but
yeah,
they need a PR person for the client side
mm,
specifically. Like their
a
full-time
community,
job should be like quelling all of this
yeah,
stuff that's going on and answering questions and giving out, like, have a channel where it's like this is the Rumble PR, whatever,
yeah,
right? And just be like every month we have it's a short video just discussing what's achieved that month. It'd be good for investors too, because
that,
investors would be like, oh, this is great, they fixed this and this, because some of this stuff is back end, like I was saying
yeah,
earlier. Some of this is data related, some of this is like the stream quality and the latency issues. They fixed a lot of that stuff this year. If I look going from when I started in February to now, they made tremendous strides in their actual streaming capabilities, but no one notices that. And like I said, I'm just going to be repeating myself on that. But
mm.
for someone who was actually trying to put out quality videos, it was a real struggle for a while there, and they've actually fixed a lot of that. So I'm thankful that they did that. Investors. He came back. Look at this.
He
It's
came
funny
back.
too, because he came in the first place because I was talking about investing, and then he comes back.
Hey, well, why don't you find the stocks in Epic and see if you can invest in that? Uh,
Yeah, we need to, we need to find someone who's doing something like that technology that's actually got it down pat. If not them, someone, but
mm,
it looks like they're on top of it. What you showed me so far looks really good.
and it's been a year since then. But yeah, I do agree. Or a community manager. I think some people have mentioned like a community
Yeah.
manager, which I don't even know what a community manager would do, but it'd have to be someone they could um, trust, I guess, or have a strong hold on like the info and stuff. Fa They really
Yeah.
need, well, yeah,
Yeah.
and that
That's what
again,
that's one valid criticism, though, I think we can all take from this whole
yeah,
conversation is
is they need
is
a
the transparency needs to be a big priority, because if you can't fix these problems fast enough for people to complain, you need to at least respond to them fast enough to get to quell and
yeah,
explain them well enough. Like, it's one thing to be like, ambiguous about your answers, but it's another thing to actually like, hey, look, we got this agency or this entity and this entity in the way. We're working through these steps, and not only just maybe they do have this and it's somewhere hidden, but they need it to be up front and center where people can find it easily. because that's another thing is you're dealing with a user end. So people aren't going to go searching for your answers. You gotta make it so easy to find. You actually trip over it in Rumble somehow.
That's where they need their own thing on their platform, because you could go to Twitter X, but not everyone has a Twitter X, and so you need something that's on.
Yeah, I barely use my Twitter account. I literally only signed up for it because I think it was actually either you or someone else that I was trying to correspond with, because Rumble didn't have its own DM system. That's really all I opened up X for, was because Rumble didn't have a DM system.
Cool, janky, understaffed. Well, I mean, it's around 160 people, so I don't know what you consider understaffed, but again, that's a resource issue.
And 3 of those are janitors. I mean,
well, 2.5. All right, the other person, you gotta give. After all that thing with Snow White and stuff, you have to give some work to the little people. All right.
Yeah.
But no, I can understand.
He gets half the pay though.
Yeah, he gets half the work, half the pay. And I can understand. No, it'd be great if there was a human and it can't just be Rick. It can't just be Mario. It can't just be Chris. You need to have someone who's set, like they did for Gaming on Rumble. You need to have someone who's set that.
Yeah, a gaming czar.
If there's some things they can't say, okay, tell them this is what you can say, right? But if it's information they can give out, say, okay, so this is the reason why X, and X is not working right now, and then be able to follow up with the tech side of it, and a way of explaining it without overbearingness, which is hard. It is hard.
Yeah, you have to break it down. That's why I had to use so many analogies, like the hot dog cart, like just stupid analogies at least. Like give us something, because most people aren't. It's not that people are dumb. It's that people are not. They don't have the layers of knowledge that was built up over the years that someone like I built up, right?
Yeah.
So if they told me all the technicals, I'd be like, oh, okay, I understand completely. They spit that same thing out to the public. It's not going to land. People are going to be like, oh, it sounds like you're making a bunch of excuses with some technical terms. And so they got to get someone who's actually built for that task to kind of break it down for people.
They need a tech communicative. What's another word? A tech communicative persona. I don't know what that'd be called.
I mean, yeah, they'd have to be it's almost like they'd have to take a technician and put them in a PR position, but they also have to have the charisma to pull it off, or the speaking skills to pull it off. They have to be, like an extroverted nerd is what they need to be.
Gosh dang it, I'm not nerd.
I'm automatically disqualified because I can barely get on a stream once a week. So,
well, I only know so much as what I've learned from CompT Plus. But again, if they had someone, or they could have 2 people work in conjunction and just take half the pay. It doesn't matter. They need the face. They can't be Chris. It can't be Rick, and it can't be Mario.
Yeah, they already got their hands full with a lot of the higher, the top tier stuff that they got to deal with. They have too many plates spinning already. So that's part of the problem. Is I think they are just kind of. Like we were saying before, they're at a level where they need to delegate that out to somebody, and maybe that's the solution. Is they need to find someone, maybe someone like Vapin. Maybe they can get a part timer who also is a streamer, and they can be like, okay, we're gonna get you give us an email of all the complaints, and we're gonna give you as many technical details as we can, and then you got to distill it down and make a video out of it. That might be something to do. I don't know.
I'll go another step. Every problem I've had at YouTube has been based in lack of being heard, which is pretty much everyone, especially on Twitter X. If Rumble could take that openly, I bet people would flock here. I'm not doing understandable, but that's not a total solution either, because you'll have trolls. You'll have people who'll just try to bring it down. Now, they've tried answering questions of people who are so disenfranchised by the company that all they want to do is troll them and do all these negative things to it. They want to be bad actors. And yes, while they're disenfranchisedness is understandable, at the end of the day, though, if you're on other platforms and this platform is worthless to you, why bother? If you're being successful elsewhere and this platform is nothing to you, why would you go back? I mean, other than to hold like the CEO accountable or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's just negative accumulation on yourself.
That's definitely something I've come across, because I've actually asked a couple pretty decent sized YouTubers to come over here, and they would go, okay, I'll test the waters. I'll upload a bunch of videos. So they just go to their list on YouTube, and they just bring over some of what they think is some of their more important content, and they start uploading it, and they get like 2 views, 15 views, whatever. There should be someone maybe the same person or maybe someone else. Maybe this, this position should be a different position, where if you see a new person come in, you cross-reference them with the other stream platforms. You find out what their viewer count is. So like, I know a guy, let me pull him up. I won't show him, but I'll pull him up to see what his count is, because he might not be huge, but he's a friend of mine that I've known him since like 2017. He's got 63,000 subscribers, right? That's a decent count, right? He's got experience. He knows how to make videos. He's doing good quality videos, and he's got a follower count of 60,000. And if you see someone like that pop in and drop a bunch of videos like he did, he's on here on Rumble. He popped a bunch in. He had his intern drop a bunch of videos, and they looked at the numbers and they go, this doesn't work. Someone needs to be there to catch them when they come in and maybe boost them for a while. Have a separate section on the front page for new transplants or something, because it gets them to go, maybe this is the play. Maybe I should invest in a spot, because there's a couple other guys that have bigger numbers than that I know, who also just quit uploading videos because they're like, that's just an extra step I don't want to do.
Yeah, I know that's understandable. It's just that you can't artificially inflate their numbers, because that's a lie in itself. And so
that's what I'm saying. It's got to be a special section. That's why I'm saying, like, don't interrupt whoever's the top gaming streamers with this. Like, go new. This would actually be something you could apply to people like you and me who started new, right? You could have something like a sections like, here's the people who just joined or whatever, for like, if they're within 3 months and they're constantly uploading, they go in this section, and it's a section that gets seen mixed in with all the other sections that they generally throw at you. And that can be more universal. I'm just saying, there are people that are being they're dropping the ball on all these rather sizable people coming in here, feeling out the place, and then going, nope, I'm out. I know several of them already.
Yeah. And again, it's part of that is that their recommendation engine is just not up to par yet.
Oh no, yeah, it's bad, because most of these people are actual YouTubers and not live streamers. So they're making high quality edited content, and they're uploading videos. And Rumble upload videos is not the place to be, unfortunately, because they push the live stuff. Live is always on top of everything else.
Yeah, and that's
another problem.
Yeah, and even though Rick had stated that it would include the short content, the pre-recorded content, and live stream content, the recommendation engine, and there is to some degree, but it's not up to the point where it's balanced out yet, because they're pushing towards the Twitch model, which is live streaming is the future, and I'm like, yeah, but you're competing with a platform bigger than you, and it has all three things that you're needing to hit on. Like, you want to have as many people as on your platform, even though there'll be some undissatisfied, but at least your pre-recorded videos will get some hits, your shorts will get some hits, and your streams will get some hits. Maybe not a whole lot, but at least if it gets some sort of form of views, hey, you're great. But it's not balanced.
Yeah.
And I think that's where part of it. And again, they need a sort of tech nerd PR person, and then balancing out the recommendation engine. But again, like you said earlier, some of this stuff is just not an easy overnight fix.
Yeah.
So
and I guess what I'm trying to aim at is, like, there should be some sort of migration program. Not like signing a contract that's exclusive or anything like that, but a migration program that Rumble goes, hey, are you already on another platform? Do you have a catalog of 200 plus videos you want to upload all in one shot or whatever? All right. Then you'll get like 2 weeks of promotion to get you jump started, just to get you in here. It doesn't have to discriminate. It'd be like, look, all you have to do is this, and this to qualify. It doesn't matter about your political views, whatever. You don't have to pay any money, but this is just going to be like this new section where people can go, oh, who's the new people coming in, right? And that would get these people to stick, because they're throwing their videos at Rumble, and then they're not sticking. Because they're like, I got 2 views on a video that over on YouTube got 25,000 views, So there needs to be something there to get that retention going, because that's why they're not getting a lot of these new YouTubers. They're trying, because there's a lot of people on YouTube that I know that only stick to YouTube because
that's where the
numbers are.
Yeah,
and they're free speech advocates. They are frustrated with Rumble like hell. They really are. But then when they throw something over here on Rumble, they get nothing. And I think Rumble has to do something to kind of assist that. Otherwise, you're
wasting
they're
time.
losing. They're not going to try again. Some of them will when there's a scare, like on YouTube, when they just change some rules again. Those people will try again. I know a couple of them did that too.
Would that be a condension of what's being said? So it's free, but without support, it's doomed. Wouldn't say it's
well. Is he talking about like this whole idea that I have, or is he talking about?
Well, just with like the if they don't get the support, like the 2-week thing and all that stuff you're talking about, then it's just doomed that they'll keep missing out on this point.
Yeah, because especially like I said, if they're trying to get their catalog over here and they're not seeing any return on investment, because they have to pay someone to do that work. Someone has to download the videos off of YouTube. They gotta re-upload it. They gotta make sure that they migrate the tags and all the information correctly. They probably have to do a bunch of other setup for the main page. They might have sub channels. And then you got your playlists and all that stuff. So someone's being paid for that. That's going to cost them money to migrate over. So the least that Rumble can do is if they're like, oh, look at all this content that they want to bring over.
Help the process.
Help the process somehow. I'm not saying you have to invest money, but do something for them when they come in so that they have an opportunity to grow, at least show that there's interest in theirs, because they'll start doing it. And then they see that there's nothing going on. It's just basic. It's a basic numbers game. And I understand it sounds like you're giving them a leg up over everyone else, but we have to do something to retain those people because they're good people. Like I know some of these people personally. They're not bad people, and they're not money grubbers by any stretch. But they like, it's another amoral, pragmatic decision that they made. They said, I didn't see numbers. I paid this person the X amount of dollars to get this stuff migrated, and I made like 38 cents. So I'm not gonna keep sinking into this because it's clearly not even going anywhere.
I wonder if that's where the change for not only the creator program but the equity thing too, right? Yeah. Like I mean, yeah, that kind of defeats the purpose in a way. But again,
but equity would be really difficult because then so you got to do something that they can afford to do. Like Rumble can afford to spotlight them temporarily on somewhere on one of their main pages, either the like just new and shiny, whatever you want to give it a name that's separate if you have to. But if they can just feature them for a little while and have a portal where people can go discover new talent or whatever. I think that would be enough where Rumble doesn't have to spend a lot of money. And it also increases the odds that these people actually stick around because you have to get traction, right? You got to build an audience and you got to see that there's people there in order to make the decision to keep investing in that, because people don't think of it. They think, oh, the video's already made. No money's being spent to just copy them over. It's like, it's not the case. It's like with the programming stuff. People don't understand there's still logistical costs to doing that. Someone has to spend the time doing it. And video is an incredibly long and arduous thing, no matter what you do with video. You edit videos. It's like just downloading a video can take a while. And then you're going to spend at least 15, 20 minutes per video setting up.
I've spent close to maybe half an hour at one point just trying to get it right enough, at least in my eyes, to get sent over. And then I'm going through, I'm downloading it. I'm using Claude to kind of help with some stuff, and then I put it out and try to keep whatever. But they need a face somebody can go to that's not just, hey, email support@rumble.com. That's not going to work anymore. It's not going to work as much as it used to anymore. And I know that doesn't help Rick or Mario or whatever, and they're gonna be like, well, you got to go to it anyways. Like, yeah, but you have someone big coming over, and you're gonna lose people because they're frustrated with support, or support isn't getting back to them. And that's another thing too, is Rumble support is not 24/7.
No.
And that's another issue right there. They need to have something that's.
I think the only time I ever contacted them was because I was reporting something that was actual abuse, and they never got back to me. So that was my only experience with the support. But that was like 5 months ago. So I don't know if things have changed since then. But
yeah. So, but anyway, we're gonna end it here because we've gone on long enough, and then I'm getting there. We'll figure something out. Hopefully, you know what? It's gonna have to take them beyond. It's a lot of it's a lot of balls to juggle, and it'll be up to Chris in the end of how to juggle those balls. And I know that's I know
We'll
that's
end on
not
a high note there.
well, when you already have faces of someone saying, "I think I smelt
Yeah.
that, but I didn't dealt that sort of thing."
You can use those snapshots when you send in your information to Rumble. You just like
well,
little pictures of her.
well, the thing is, I've already sent in snapshots of like it connecting and disconnecting on the YouTube side, and then of course it missing chats from the YouTube side. I don't have to send that in, even though
Mhm.
I've already sent something before. It's like, guys, I know it's probably gonna take you a bit, but I just acknowledged that, yeah, we're seeing this, because I sent in something a while ago that was bit different. Like it wouldn't once that I crashed my computer crashed a day or two ago, and once I came back in the studio, it wouldn't show me on screen streaming anymore. It would just show my theme screen, and
Hmm.
so there's that. So yeah, lots of stuff, but in the end, they'll either figure it out or they won't. And Doc is going to be partially helpful, but who knows? The future is not set in stone.
Yep. We'll just wait
So
and see.
yes, but anyway, all our just to be a quick one, all our stuff is down below. You can see his stuff down in the description on both Rumble
Yep,
and
this way.
YouTube, and all that. And check him out. He's you just saw like a little 3 hours and 40 minutes of a chill guy trying to explain tech side and trying to give you a bit of an understanding of, hey, you know what? I understand. We understand your frustration, but there's some things that you don't understand, and hey, just ask.
And with some fart jokes mixed in here and
With some fart meme jokes of a
there.
lady who looks beautiful, but those were some funny. Yeah, those are some funny meme captions right there.
Yeah.
But anyway, also don't forget to leave a like, share the content, leave a comment, or a follow on either Rumble or YouTube. Because again, guys, any of that engagement stuff not only helps in being seen more, but also helps in bringing attention to bring more people on. Because look, I'm not just for creators; I'm also for non-creators too. I've had a lot of different people on, over 100 different people, and guess what? I'm looking forward to December's, and I'm already filling up. I'm already at the third week, and I'm almost done with that. So, if you guys want to take that opportunity, either go to the comment section down below on either Rumble or YouTube, or go to the link down below with my stuff and find me on my places, and we can start from there. But anyway, guys, thank you so much, and of course, as always, I do my thing called again. Again, it is Thanksgiving tomorrow, so you won't see me till the 2nd of December because I am taking this holiday weekend off. And of course, next Friday I will be off as well because I have a family event. So that'll be 2 Fridays in a row that I will not be here. So hope you guys have a great weekend from all that. But of course, it is now time for questions from a hat, and I don't think you were here last time when I did it. But I don't think I don't think I had it when you were here last time.
Yeah, I think
But
this was a newer thing.
what happened is I bought a hat from Rumble and I put some questions inside it. And so what happens is my guest, you get to have 2 freebies from the hat. But if people, I'm not monetizing YouTube, so sorry, YouTube side. But if people want to have another question pulled out of the hat, they can just give a rant of any amount and we'll pull another one out. So, of course, we got one from earlier from B Roll. So that's 3. Oh, thank you, B Roll, so much. Glad you'd be here. And thank you, too, Blip Blap. Glad you're here, too. But yes, so that's 3 different questions. So we're gonna go in the hat. I'm not even looking in the hat, just kind of rolling my hands around
Oh
it like
boy.
it's dough. Um, oh, 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 man. Okay. Let me get. Here's the first one. What does the question say? What is?
Oh boy.
What is your favorite curse word?
I mean, I don't even know if it counts as a curse word, but I use it a lot. So retarded. Is that I don't know if that's a curse word, but I guess some people could. I mean, curse words are kind of one of those things where you could use anything as a curse word, really.
Yeah.
There's curse words that are regular words.
We'll accept that for now. That's
Yeah.
an acceptable
All
answer.
right.
All right, now my eyes are closed. I'm just rolling my hands around in there like I'm looking for a gold coin in rice. All right, I think I have it. Okay, here's one. This says, oh, okay, this is when I asked one of the guests yesterday, what does freedom of speech mean to you?
That's a, it's the simplest yet the boldest question you can ask, really, isn't it? Because I mean, as far as I'm concerned, everything that comes out of our mouth is just a series of sounds. You should be allowed to make whatever series of noises that come out of your beak, like any other bird, right? And so, to me, that's what it really means. Now, intent to harm people is a different thing, right? Um, accusations of, or not accusations, but making outright plans to hurt people could be one of those gray areas because a lot of people make veiled threats.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in a situation once where someone left a threat on a voicemail, death threat, and police couldn't do anything about it. So it makes you wonder, though, like, is that somewhere where we should draw the line? Again, we go talk about the arbitrary drawing of lines, right? But for me, I think they should be allowed to say those stupid things. I think I'm a free speech absolutist. I think that any sound coming out of your mouth is only open to interpretation by the person on the other end, and it's really the other person's responsibility to decide what to do with that information. If I say a word and you misunderstand it as to be cruel or unusual, then that's on you. Just like, that's why I like Blip, because Blip says a lot of stuff that would upset a lot of people, but it doesn't upset me because I know where his spirit is. I know where he's coming from. And so, for me, free speech is free speech. It's 100% absolute. But when you have to at least take into account that if someone is making plans, for instance, to harm someone else, if there's other evidence of that, then that's something that needs to be investigated, right? But you shouldn't say, okay, this person is now completely banned. People say stupid stuff all the time. I'm guilty of saying stupid stuff in bad situations all the time, and I've had plenty of second chances. And there's plenty of people here that probably agree. And I've never been in a situation where that got to a point where it needed to be investigated or anything. Because you're a gamer. You just say stuff to each other. People understand your spirit, and you have to rely on other people. You have to have faith in other people to actually see who you are, and not rely so much on the words. People are so focused on the words. I stopped listening to words a long time ago. I listen to the spirit behind the words. The way that someone talks to me is more important than what they're saying. And that'll always be the case. I got friends that talk mad crap to me all the time, but I know that they're doing it out of love. And if you're not capable of doing that, then you need to go and figure yourself out. And that's all I have to say on that.
No, I was oh crap, I had it, and I was like, don't beat yourself up. He's not beating himself up. You don't see him smacking his face around.
Yeah. Blip. Yeah. That's what I'm talking. That's a misunderstanding right there, right? Because I'm not beating myself up.
He's just explaining himself in the best way he can about what he thinks about what freedom of speech means to him.
I know what it means to be retarded, okay? I know what it means to go on the internet and say stupid crap like you do, Blip. And that's why I can appreciate what you're doing. I can appreciate you because I understand your spirit. Even if you don't understand your spirit, I understand you're a good dude.
I would have just said it. I thought you were just going to say he's like your spirit animal or something. Then
Blip is my spirit animal. No, Blip is my spirit animal. He reminds me a lot of myself about 10, 15 years ago, for sure.
You hear that, Blip? You're now a spirit animal.
Yep. You stuck around long enough to hear that. You got to live with. You're gonna remember that the rest of your life. You're someone's spirit animal. You're like,
oh man, I gotta leave this place. Here's the third question.
All right.
Let's see what it says. It says, oh gosh, dang it. I want to tear it. It says this was a question suggested by Kaiju and Steven from a long time ago. Are cats racist?
Yes. Cats are completely racist. Why would you believe otherwise?
I mean, there's some black and white cats.
Well, I mean, they don't like rats. They don't like birds. They don't like fish. I mean, that's about as racist as you can get. They don't like dogs. I'm going with cats are racist. They don't even like humans most of the time, unless they're trying to get something from them.
Sounds like a woman. No, I'm just joking.
But I'm just.
Yeah, no, gold digger. I meant gold digger. I apologize. It's really just meant you don't want to mix this
Yeah,
up.
now you've associated all women with gold diggers. Congratulations, sir. Is this going on? Is this clip going on your dating profile?
I have no dating profile whatsoever. No. Tinder's long gone past its due of something. But anyway, guys, again, thank you so much, Hans. I know it's been a while, but it's been a blast. And again, learning about that stuff in the explanation of things is pretty awesome. We get to have a little fun along the way.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
Yeah, and they do kill. Well, yeah, cats are just smaller tigers, really.
Yep.
But yeah, it's been fun, and of course, you're always welcome to come back again. Because, dear Lord, I'd have to go and recount of how many people I've had on total, because the end of the year is almost up, and of course, I do still have my Darachat Hangout Den coming next month, and of course, my Rumble Squared. But I think some of the things I can take from today is that Rumble needs an ability to have people communicate with better, and to be able to communicate when stuff like tech stuff happens or whatever, because they're not doing that very well right now. And so that's just, we can't just rely on Rick to do it. We can't just rely on Rumble Mario to do it. We can't just rely on Chris Pavlovsky to do it. They've got to have someone who people can go to and say, hey, I'm having this issue tech wise, and that person can, whether it be a community manager, whether it be a PR person, there has to be someone that everyone can try to go to, because just saying go to support@rumble.com, it's not going to work anymore. I'm sorry to say. People are going to get tired of it. People are going to start, as you stated, just start leaving because they're not getting the help. And you're going to be like, oh, that's okay. They can leave.
Yeah.
It's not how it should go. But
Sounds
that's just a
right.
guess. Just a big guess. But anyway, guys, thank you so much. And of course, as always, and don't forget to mute your mic because it can bleed into, is One Day With You. I got to get there. Is One Day With You by Pogo. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. And goodness sake, please don't try to trample people on Black Friday. That's all I'll say. especially if it's a black person. Please don't do that. Don't. Have a good night, guys. Have a good night.